I've had students give me those movies over the years. I just looked in a bucket and found two of them. I have two movies that I gave to you. Oh my God. That's what we good. That's what we good.
Check.
Okay.
It's in the mail.
Okay. So we're going to start the meeting, the Ojai City of Ojai Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. Agenda for regular meeting Thursday, April 2nd, 2015. And we will call the meeting to order.
Would you like me to do a roll call now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Commissioner Dutter? Here. Vice Chair Antner?
Here.
Chair Rylander?
Here.
Commissioner Ford?
Here.
We're missing a couple.
We are missing Commissioners Becker and Roddick and Basor.
Okay. So we'll stand for a pledge of allegiance. Sorry. Adam, do you mind sitting here?
Ready, begin.
Thank you. So now's the time for any public comments, anything on that's not on the agenda tonight. Do I have any? I don't have any speaker cards, but if anyone would like to speak about anything. Oh, we're good. Okay. And tonight we have a presentation. Very excited. We have a full house tonight. I wish you guys could all see it out there in TV land. We have Master Thomas Farrar here from the Ojai Kung Fu program that we have at the Parks and Recreation Department. And Softcleese was going to kind of talk a little bit about the program, and then we'll introduce you, and then we'd like to have everyone come up, and we're going to bring them up so everyone out in the city can see the kids.
Okay, I'll just say a few words. Sifu Tom is the instructor for this program. We started the Kung Fu program for adults and youth in September of 2012. So there's currently, between the adults and students, a neighborhood of 20 participants. They're not all here tonight, but it looks like about half. We have 4 students that actually are back in September of 2012 that started that program then and are here today. So I've been here for the last 2.5 years. So that is Arthur, who you can't see right now. Why don't you come up, Arthur, to the podium? At least they'll get to see who you are. Charlie, you can step up, and Kobe, and Willow.
And that's cool if you guys come up
Yeah,
here
if you come
and,
over
and
here,
face
then they
this
can-
way,
they'll be able
face
to
the
see you.
audience, then the public can see you too.
Yeah, there you go.
Step on forward.
Come this way,
And then face the audience.
and then turn
We'll
around.
see you.
There you go.
There you go. And of course, all the participants that are in the program are very dedicated. I walk in there, I'd say almost daily, actually, when they're practicing, and it's very impressive, even the beginners, how much they learn in just a short period of time. And it's a testament to that young mind that they can quickly pick up the moves that they do. So I'm happy to invite them here and have them here. I know they're pretty excited to maybe tell.
You talking about my young mind?
What's that?
You talking about my young mind? I'm just.
So I'll invite Sifu Tom up to say a few words, and maybe they'll give us a little demo as well.
Yes, we will.
Is this on? Yep. Okay. I started the Mountain Institute for Kung Fu and Tai Chi in 2002. And its goal is to teach anyone that wants to learn Chinese martial arts, no matter their ability to pay or what. I had it up in Fraser Park for a while because I was trying to move down here, but I ended up with so many students up there. I took them to China 3 times, and the kids did really well there. And we are going to plan a trip to China with the kids from here to compete. Jet Li, you guys know who Jet Li is, the kids don't, but his teacher is a very good friend of mine in China, and he has a big international tournament every year, and the kids compete against 50 countries, and I've taken 35 kids there, and they've all won gold, silver, and bronze medals. I had the oldest student in their tournament and the youngest 1 year. A 10-year-old girl won Tai Chi, and a 78-year-old woman won Tai Chi. So the program's been going for a while. When I moved back home where I grew up, I wanted really bad to have a good program here, so I came to the rec, and the 4 that you saw up here were great kids. There's nobody in the program for like 9 months, and they just stuck with it and trained and trained and trained. And then people saw that, I was going to stick around, I guess, and started coming. And I've taken the kids to 2 tournaments, and they've, the last tournament we took 52 medals from competition, and they all did very well. They're competing above their division and in their division, but sometimes above their rank. So I'm really proud of them. They're going to do a little demo for you right here real quick. Come on, line up.
Thank you.
Right here. Straight line. There you go. You get up there. You get up there. Okay. Scoot up, Charlie. There you go. Arthur, scoot up. There you go. Mabo. 26. Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Attention. Good. Bow. Show respect. Thank you. Come sit down. I couldn't have a program like I do if it wasn't for the help that I have from Matt, stand up, Elkins, Pete Palmer, Kim is recent in our program now. She's teaching gymnastics, martial arts oriented gymnastics to the kids, so they can. There's gymnastics like they do for gymnastics competition, and then there's martial arts oriented gymnastics where if you do a cartwheel, the cartwheel is meant to kick somebody. And you do an aerial, you're actually jumping over somebody swinging a sword or a staff or a spear or something at you. And so she's teaching that to the kids. And these gentlemen help corral any loose calves that get loose. And together we have a really wonderful program. So I couldn't do it without their help, though. Thank you very much for having us.
Do you mind, thank you. I just had a question. If you'd like to share with the audience when your classes are and.
So the children's classes are Mondays and Wednesdays from 3:30 to 5:30. And at 3:30, anybody who's just coming into the class wants to start then. And a lot of the senior students come at 3:30 to help the new students get better quicker. And it's a really good program. Everybody helps everybody. And everybody knows what it's like to be a beginner. So we instill that in the kids that, nobody's better than the next person. Anybody that comes into the program is welcome with open arms. The adult class is Tuesday and Thursday nights from 7:30 to 9. Okay? Thank you.
What are the ages of the kids? What age can they start?
From depending on their ability to concentrate, from 5 to up. Yeah.
Thank you.
And mostly they start at, we had a lot of young kids like a few months ago, but they tend to stay with it for like 4 or 5 months and then they're done. So Charlie started when he was 6, and he's a testament to stick-to-itiveness. Anyway, thank you. Anything else?
Just
that I'm
one quick,
forgetting?
so are all the classes are at the Boyd Center at Zerzati Park?
Yeah, they're all at the Boyd Center in Sarasota Park, and they go month to month continuously. So it's not like a 5-week program or a 3-week program. We tried doing that, but it was just too crazy to bill the parents like that, and it's easier just to go month to month. And that way, if somebody there's no contracts or anything like that. If they want to stop, they can stop. If they want to keep going, they can keep going. And we try and keep them interested enough to want to keep going.
Yeah, I provided all the commissioners with this awesome flyer that we have, that we
That
have in
your
the front
girls put
office.
together.
So it is, yes. So it's $60 a month if you want to take the program. So, and you also have a optional Saturday.
Oh, yeah, I also teach Saturdays from 9:30 to 11, which is a free class where I combine the adults and the kids, and they do weapons in the park outside.
That sounds fun.
Is there any plan of hosting a competition, or is?
I would love to do that. We've talked a little bit about it. I'd like to talk to him more about it, about the logistics. I also have had a lot of seminars over the years. One of the reasons my students compete so well and are so good is we get masters. I have friends that are masters that I've known for, I've been doing this 38 years, and I know some of the best people in the world, and I had them up a lot when I was in Fraser Park, and I've had a couple of them come. Master Kwan came and did a seminar for the kids on fighting, and then we went to his tournament. That's the gentleman who held the tournament. And 2 of my adults, stand up, Eileen, and these 2 young ladies were the first ones to compete. They flew to Las Vegas and took me with them hostage. But it was a lot of fun. And they both won medals in their first competition they ever went to. So they found the tournament, wanted to go, and they were the only 2 that could go at the time, so they went and did really well. And that's where I met Master Kwan, actually. I'd known of him for a long time. He was the head instructor in Chinatown, LA for the last 40 years. He just retired. But I have a lot of friends that are masters that would come up and do seminars, and we could hold a really nice tournament, all-inclusive tournament where we could have karate and kung fu and, all different styles. So it'd be a fun thing.
That's a great idea.
I was curious if any, before you guys head out, if any students, young or adult, wanted to speak and talk about the class. It seems like something that everyone sticks with, similar to our gymnastics program, for years. So totally opening it up. No pressure.
Any parents want to talk about kung fu?
Okay.
I
I know how hard it is to get up there. So
yeah.
oh, look at someone
yeah.
always comes up.
I'd like to congratulate Sifu Tom. My daughter Devin has been very diligent in
Oh,
this
come
program.
to the mic. Come to the mic. Sorry.
My daughter Devin has been in the program and comes to it very regularly, and I'm very proud of her and the work that Sifu does with the kids. So it's a very rewarding program for everybody.
I'm dying to know why seafood, Tom.
Sifu means father teacher.
Okay.
Kung Fu is like a family. It's Sifu is father teacher, and then Si Hing is big brother, little brother. It goes like that, and that's how I run the school, like a big family.
Great. Thanks for speaking. Oh.
I would like to say just like one thing, like the improvement of these kids, and when they first started to now is just like leaps and bounds. So it really helps them just be a better person, you know.
Yeah. Thank you.
He trained with me 30 years ago when I had a school in Miners Oaks. He called me 20 years ago and said, Sifu, where are you? And I'm like, who is this? Paul. Paul who? I didn't know who it was. But he's back with me now and training very hard and doing great. So
That's great. Well, thank you guys so much. Oh, would you like to come up?
I'm a student of Sifu's, and I started last year, and I was actually kind of shy when I started, but it's really fun, and since I've done it, I kind of felt my confidence grow. I've actually gone to a tournament, and I was scared at first, but it was really fun. Sifu teaches us a lot of things. He also explains what each move does, where it came from, how in the past that they didn't. He's a really awesome guy.
Nice. You made me cry. Just kidding. Okay, sorry. Now I'm crying. I'm not supposed to do that. Okay, so that was very special. Thank you. Sorry.
crying when I get out.
The crying commissioner. Sorry. Anyway, well, thank you guys so much. Do you guys have any more questions or anything?
No, thanks for coming, you guys, and thanks for the demonstration.
That was very touching.
Thank you.
Okay. I need a crying break.
I know all the jingling goes.
I know. It's like belly dance.
Just like having the gymnast here.
It's, I was gonna say, just like the gymnast, yeah, they had more bling than Mr. T.
That's
great.
Go from that to the.
I know.
Thank you.
Good night, thank you.
So I think we can proceed to the Public Works report.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate you coming.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So let's move on to Public Works report. Are you going to be giving that tonight?
No, I'm going to
who's
turn
here.
that over to our
See
Public
you.
Works Director, Mr. Grant.
Thank you. I couldn't see you way in the back with all the kids. So
Good
great.
evening. Yes,
Glad to have you.
I was back there with Councilman Wyrick. And, yeah, okay, I'd like to just run over a few things. I guess one is that the council has asked us to give them an update on the, they've just declared another emergency declaration by the governor about water conservation. And so we're giving an update. We have cut back on a lot of lawns throughout the city and just stressed the lawns, but of course the primary one being out at Sarzati, a playing field, we have not stressed that. Well, we have stressed it, we cut back watering significantly, but it's still relatively lush compared to most other lawns. So we've had quite a reduction around all the way, and I think the options that will be discussed with the council are just if we want to pull back anything any further and really stress lawns. For instance, lawns here at the City Hall, which wouldn't be part of the Parks Department in particular, are they really necessary to keep them watered at all? We've pretty much backed off last year, and we tried some native grasses out back. The native grasses were much more difficult to grow than we expected. It turns out we were working with a couple landscape architects in town that we're all trying to. They've all had kind of similar problems. They're actually difficult to get established, and once they're established, they're good. But if you have too much water and hot weather, they have funguses growing them, and it kills off the lawns. Out at Fulton Street is a good example. That extension we put in, that is native grasses there, and those have established well. But we had funguses in those areas too that we had to deal with. So the trick is not to water them.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
What is the equivalent of stressing? Like, what does that mean in water? Like, as far as using as much or, you know,
what kind of
what's
reduction?
the point?
Where are we now?
Yeah.
Right. And
when you
so
stop.
really, I think with a lawn, you're used to your totally lush lawn that would, I don't know, a good example is just your classic golf course lawn. And then when you stress it, you'll see it dry up and get more brittle. But you'll still see a little bit of green in it. It's kind of barely surviving. And I think if we really want to push things to a limit, we can have a fairly brown lawn with just a touch of green, and you can actually have the roots stay alive. So then when the rainy season comes around, it pops again. It all comes back.
It goes dormant, right? In the winter anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the native grasses do, but the other grasses really don't. They have to stay.
Not around here?
If they die during the summer, they're dead, and they really don't come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're just dead.
That's the advantage. The native grasses do go dormant in the summer, and then they spring back.
So during that discussion, where there was obviously a differentiation, it sounds like, between Sarzoti as our major recreation facility and the other lawns.
Right.
Okay.
And the idea is the play field lawns, we're really proposing that, and it's open for discussion here, is that we keep those
Maintained.
green and soft, because the lawn in front of Boyd Center and behind it, I think there's much less activity, and Sophocles and I have been talking about that too. There is some activities there, but we really talked about stressing those further, but they have minimal activity and they probably won't be damaged. But you can imagine if you really stress that main playing fields with all the activity, it'll start tearing it up. You'll actually...
It'd be a long-term problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think all the landscaping, you kind of classify the, high investment, for instance, trees, and low investment is generally grass, except for in our fields for the playing fields, and in between would be shrubberies and so on.
That's good. I wanted to make clear that, so Sarasota is really it's been set aside as a different.
That's right. Uh-huh.
Because as we ask everyone else to kill their lawns, it's important to keep some turf somewhere.
Yeah, the playing fields at Surzati are being
But
put
we
in
are
a different
differentiating
class.
that right in front of the office is not a playing field? Because we use that for quite a few
Well-
programs, and on weekends, it is busy. That area, I would say, is more a playing field. The back part is maybe a discussion, but
Well, we did discuss the fact that there will be a volleyball program out there. They're renting that space for mid-April for about 8 weeks on. And then the front lawn area, as you know, we're having our open house there, but we do have our summer camps there, but
Pee Wee sports are out there.
yes, in that general vicinity, they are. It's true. Pee Wee soccer is out there, so I think
we're talking about
what does stressing the lawn mean, and how will that affect actual play?
Right.
But certainly the bigger playing field where we have five-a-side and we have adult softball and pony baseball and girls softball, like that many
Go
activities
by on a
going
Saturday.
out there. Yes.
Yeah.
We need
and stress is
those
a wide
things.
open thing.
But when we talk about stressing the field, will that affect volleyball play very much in the backyard?
No.
Probably not. Front yard, I don't know. We'll have to see what it does to the lawn in participating on that lawn, and we'll see come May 16th when we have our open house on that lawn.
Because you're about to make a change in that and stress it additionally.
We've got a lot of room
That's
on
the
that. It's really,
conversation.
it'll be discussed with the council. I think it's the 14th meeting, isn't
Correct.
it? The 14th. So,
You mean the whole larger water issue?
Yeah.
And
The whole
as a piece
citywide.
of that, you'll discuss turf.
right. And then we have a lot of flexibility on it. I think that the restriction and really it's just the declaration has just been made, so it's up to the water board to kind of promulgate the regulations. But the goal is 25% savings versus the 2013 baseline.
Okay.
I think that we haven't measured it, we haven't gone through and gauged it, but it's, I think we're probably already there. We've cut back significantly in a lot of areas
And there's not
already.
a mandate at every site. It's a larger
Right.
reduction across your system.
And that's up to the water board how they promulgate it. I think they're really saying that most likely it'll go through the water agencies. They'll have to show the water reduction. And it's potable water only, right? So you figure roughly 75-80% of water in the state is agricultural, so they're focused on 2025 for potable. So if they save 25, then what are you saving? You might save 5 or 8% of the water. So anyways, and we had shut off last year during the first declaration, we shut off the Clough Vista fountains that we had talked about. And I think, and we have a lot of flexibility. So whenever we see lawns are maybe too stressed and we feel like it's getting too brittle and breaking down, we can hit it with water and bring it back. And we'll keep an eye on
happened to
that.
just be watching another meeting last night, and they were talking about that Clough Vista is going to go down to 1 watering. They'd been at 2 and they're going to 1. And I thought, over there, that makes sense.
And that's supposed to be all natives, but they still need water, even the natives, so.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then I want to mention also that you might have noticed in the paper, there's usually in the spring, there's some concern by groups that are opposed to glyphosate and Roundup, otherwise known as Roundup. That was a patented product, right? It's been off patent for a while. But the glyphosate, and we really use very minimal at the city, so we don't normally hear a lot about it, and we mostly, especially this year, the heat came on quick and all the weeds have died quickly. And so we mostly just string trim tight, and we're done with it, and we're carried for the rains.
Using that at just the
We just have
border?
occasional problem areas around, for instance, around Libby, there are certain weeds that take off and they get moving and they're difficult. Even if we string trim them, they come back fast. So we'll hit those before they reseed and get a lot more of that seed out. And we committed to trying a agricultural vinegar that you can buy at Fruit Growers Supply, which is about a 20% strength vinegar. And so we're giving that
I think it'd be smart to try something different than.
There are a lot of different things that have been tried, and you have to read up on the efficacy and the cost and how often you have to reapply. It's a complicated issue.
There's a few people who seem to like that a lot. I know the county just tried this on the bike trail. They
were
bought
doing the cinnamon one.
the cinnamon clove oil thing, and they weren't too impressed with it. They didn't think it worked well. They're going back to glyphosate, and then there was some debate about how it was used and this and that. But I think the vinegar, if it works, terrific, because we're always very careful to use it. We don't like to have it out there. We don't want it near the playgrounds and other areas like that too. So. And then I want to mention also that Lower Libby restrooms, you'd mentioned those about getting the doors in. And we've been having trouble getting solid quotes on it, but it appears to be in the thousands of dollars range to get those rigged up. And so we were considering that, but we also budgeted the full remodel of the lower and upper restrooms. So we thought it might be efficient as well just to move ahead on the design and get that going to remodel both the restrooms instead of installing all these, the new partitions to pull them out. Because, those have the block walls and all that there that whether they're integrated into the new design or not would be up to the working with the architect on it and with the commission. So at this point, we're trying to find some inexpensive. I think the concern was the doors and maybe even a little stub wall that went up, right? Yeah.
Bony walls that are in there.
So I wanted to let you know mostly we're working on it, but we don't have any solid quotes.
What were the restroom?
It was slated 15-16
Okay.
for 80,000.
I think it's split though, wasn't it?
It was 120,000, 80,000 of Fund 31, and 40,000 of other fund.
Right. Okay. So we're working on that, and then I want to mention that also we talked about this the shelter for the picnic areas over at Sarzati's, and we had the CDBG funds released, and we just went through the environmental clearance on that, so the money was released. That's handled through the counties. I think it's the executive branch or whatever there, and they think it's okay. They were supposed to be doing final checks and getting back to us, and we haven't heard back. So it appears it'll be okay to kick it out to the spring, but they do want the money spent quickly.
Okay, so you consulted with them, and the money can be pushed off because of the explanation of the planning and all that.
It's not final, but it appears that it is. Yeah, they're supposed to get back.
That's great. Thank
so
you
I think that'll work. That master plan is probably roughly shooting for being done by fall or possibly
July, August, the latest.
So if we have that locked up where the location is, I think the design's relatively straightforward, and we can get it out bid in the spring and get it built. That'll work out fine.
That's great. Thanks for looking into that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I wanted to mention that we'll be seeking further input because we do need to set up a steering committee for the Libby Park Community Design Build Playground. So I think quite a bit of interest in the community, and that's going to be a lot of fun to get that project going.
Can I ask you a question about that? How will you pursue finding the steering committee or finding volunteers, and just curious about that?
Yeah, I think the establishment of the committee, I want to come back with some proposals with that. I was considering, Steve and I were considering whether to work with a facility committee or come back to the full commission about what that is comprised of, to make it like we can move along.
And then working also on the stakeholders committee.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We've discussed that in our facilities committee to make sure that happens almost parallel to the steering committee.
Right.
Yeah, and whether we actually get out there before this design day, that's ideal to try to set parameters on it.
To reach out to those groups we've already identified.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I guess last I wanted to mention that we have a complete streets master plan public workshop coming up. It's in the paper, you might have noticed, and on our website, you might have noticed, on April 14th, 15th, and 16th. And it's open to the public from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. I have some flyers here I can pass out. And we hope that you can make it. And if there's any issues you have in your community, in your neighborhood and so on that you'd like to see addressed, the whole idea of the complete streets is kind of taking streets back from when it was just all about get street cars down the street as fast as you could and bringing them back to a complete street for bicyclists and pedestrians and calm in the neighborhoods and having a beautiful landscape to it and trees and so on. So it's all these type of issues. You can deal with traffic calming in your neighborhood or even incomplete sidewalk sections, infill of sidewalks. So anything you can think of can be addressed in these open 2 to 7 sessions in each one of those days at the Ojai Valley Women's Club over next to the Bliss yogurt place. And so those are open, and every night at 6 p.m. there's a recap, and on Thursday, last night, there's a full recap. So I'm trying to think of the direct connection to the parks. I mean, I think it all plays into maybe not a direct park, but trying people to be able to bike over to the parks and having good access for sidewalks and everything else too. So I'll pass out a couple flyers on that. Thanks for your time.
Hey, Greg, is that information on Channel 10, do you know, or will we post it on Channel 10?
It's on the
those meetings?
website. I don't know if it's on
It's on the
Channel
website.
10.
I don't know about Channel 10, yeah. We don't have an animated graphic or anything that we could put up.
Just like a flyer, just putting the
Put
flyer
it up.
on there.
I'll-
We sometimes do that. We're going to put I just mentioned it because we're going to put our open house information on
Okay.
Channel 10, so.
I'll check on that and see if we can do that as well, yeah. So I'll pass out these.
Oh, great, thank you. That sounds really good. Is this
So before you sit down, just one last question.
Uh.
So for Libby, our next meeting, we'll be hearing about next steps.
I think so.
Okay.
May meeting, yeah. We can come back with a report at that point. We haven't really had a chance to sit down and work it out.
I'm just so as far
Yeah,
as
I'm
the
with ya.
goals for the, just keeping us kind of on a task list of,
I think that really is about what we need to do is May, because we'd like to make sure that we've contacted the stakeholders and so on before the
Exactly.
kids are gone to school, which is beginning of June.
you're on a
or
really
so.
short time frame for school.
Right.
And the fact is that May is a crazy month, and there's very little of June, and you're going to run into all kinds of conflicts. So I would suggest, and I'm happy to help with this, I think you need to get on their calendar now, before you even get ahead of your steering committee and those kinds of things. Because we know we need to go to the school, we know where we're going to go to the school and how. So I think that's something that you should nail down.
The date with the schools, you're saying?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Go coordinate with.
I think if we can set that as late as we
administration.
can to work with them,
June 10th
right?
they're out, and then, yeah,
Is it June 10th last day? Okay,
it's going to go fast.
all right.
Then you have graduate, you know what I mean? It's just-
Well, those last few weeks, partial days, it's just crazy.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. You go ahead.
Well, no, actually, I was going to make a comment in relation to the water, but I'll just wait until we get to the master plan.
Okay. Next on our agenda is approval of minutes, and I actually haven't seen them, so.
No, those were not ready. I apologize.
I
We'll-
can't approve them.
We'll have to table those to the next meeting. They were
Okay.
not ready.
Well, that was easy.
Thank you. And let's see, number 8, our next item is a discussion, we're going to start our discussion items. The next one is A, Sarasota Park Master Plan recommendations. 1, receive report from the Ad hoc Park Facilities Committee, update on the proposals received for the Sarasota Park Master Plan update. And number 2, provide recommendation to the City Council on selection of a consultant for the master plan. So,
Thank you, Chair Rylander. For those who've been following along, recall it was several months ago that the commission really expressed that there was a need as we started getting into trying to really plan some future capital improvements and where do we put things and how do we best do this, that the collective wisdom was that we really needed to revisit the master plan for Sarasota Park. And so what we did with the Commission's recommendation and City Council's approval, we issued a request for proposals back in January. We did receive 2 proposals. We would hope to get a little bit more than 2, but we got 2 very excellent proposals to consider. And basically what this would be a task to engage the community, staff, other members of the public, commissioners, council members, to get their input on how we can really update the plan for Sarasota Park, what kind of things, what kind of activities should we be doing there that we don't have now. Again, I talked about some of the amenities that we've considered. I just pulled this one off the top of my head. For example, we've been talking about, we think we have a strong need for an outdoor basketball park, a basketball court. So then the question becomes, where do you cite that? And so then that led to the question of, well, if you put it in Sarzati Park, what is that going to mean long-term? So it'll be looking at those questions and getting input from the public, again, with the idea of updating the master plan. I mentioned that we got 2 proposals. One was from Pacific Coast Land Design. The other was from Community Works Design Group. Both proposals were reviewed by the Facilities Committee. We met a couple of times to go through and review those. This is, in a lot of ways, I find this to be a similar dilemma to what we went through with the selection of the consultant for the Libby Park Playground design build, where we had just really 2 excellent companies, 2 excellent proposals with an excellent track record that seemed to be very responsive to our request for proposals. So if it was a struggle for the committee to, I can't say that there's any one firm or one proposal that greatly stands out from the other. In other words, what I'm saying, I almost feel like we could not go wrong here with either firm. They're both qualified and competent. They've got a lot of experience doing this. And there's a few other little hidden wrinkles in there as well. I did go back and forth internally on whether or not to give a recommendation on this, and ultimately decided that it would be best to give a recommendation. For staff, we are leaning towards the Community Works proposal, simply because we felt that they were giving a little more of a product at the end in terms of a complete master plan. And with Pacific Coast, they were going to be relying more on staff to be actually giving the writing and the detail in the master plan. And we asked them if that was to be done in-house, if there would be an additional fee for that, and they stated that there would be. So that was really the significant difference there. Pacific Coast came back and they said, if you want us to write that whole plan, we could do it for an additional $6,500. But again, I have some direct experience working with Community Works, but I also know of Pacific Coast's reputation. In fact, the principal person that's working on that plan for Pacific is actually an Ojai resident, so they do have a strong connection to the town. But as I said, it was a really difficult choice, even for staff to be able to say, well, which one would we really recommend here? And as again, I saw the only real significant difference there was what they were going to prepare in terms of the master plan, and if you really did an apples to apples comparison there, it looked like we were going to have to pay a little bit more to Pacific Coast to get that fully written master plan. But again, at the end of the day, we're fully confident that either one of these firms would do an excellent job. It's very interesting. There's so many parallels between this and the community design build with Libby Playground. They've got a design day where they come out and they engage the community and the stakeholders to get their thoughts and ideas. They use social media. They put out questionnaires to try and get people excited and get them to participate. And really a pretty similar process, I would say, on both counts. Certainly one's might be a little stronger in one area than the other, but really a very similar approach, and I think really some very similar outcomes. With that, I would think I should turn it over to we do have one member of the committee who is here, Vice Chair Intner, if you would like to give some comments as a member of the committee, or I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Either way. If people have questions they want to answer first, or we met twice. I think
I'd like to hear from a member of the committee first.
Member from the committee, okay. Yeah, we didn't really, they are both very good. I think my preference, after reading through them and really looking at them, is Pacific Coast Land Design. I understand you don't get the same product, but I like their process, I like their timeline. I felt after reading it that they had a real grasp on what we were looking for, because one of the things we did in our RFP is, as we talked about at this body before, was that we wanted to make sure that, because we can't do a plan for the entirety of our park system, that even in doing this plan for Sarzoti, we have somewhat of a focus on the public outreach being really strong toward what do users want, what do we have, what do we need. It's focused on Sarzodi, but with the hope that we could capture that, some of that information in that planning process that isn't specific just to Sarzodi. Because a really robust public outreach process, even though it's for this plan, could still solicit from all of, from the members who participate what they want on a bigger, broader scale, and then you bring it back down to Sarzodi. And for me, I felt like they addressed that a little better in Pacific Coast Land Design. So I felt like that was I liked their approach better. And as far as the document that we're not going to get, what they said in response, because it was one of the questions we sent back, and you guys have the emails that were responses from those who put the proposals in. I think that what they will do that we don't have is a well-defined vision, which is a really hard piece of that master plan, I think, and they will provide that. And what they're saying is that because we already have a plan, we should be able in-house to update it with the information that they're going to give us. So we're going to get all of the information that they're collecting, and then you put it back together and feed it back into the document we have. I think there's definitely work involved in that, but I think what we're getting for our money with the 20,000, I'm happy with, and I think they're going to do a great job. So I think they're both great, but I felt they caught the flavor of what I was looking for, which was not just a straightforward, just the plan for Sarzodi Park, give us a map, show us where we're going to plop everything, but a really strong, robust public involvement. Both firms had laid out their process. I just came away feeling like they had a slightly better grasp on that somewhat larger picture of it. So that would be that was my impression. But again, I think both firms are excellent. I think both firms have good packages. And I think that they will give us as part of our document a well-defined vision for the park, which we don't have at this point in the existing plan if you've looked at it. Which, by the way, its history, I believe, was done partially by consultant, but very much by staff and even participants of the commission at that time. Participated in putting that plan together that we have now. So any questions, if I can answer them or Steve can answer them. But I do think both firms are excellent. I mean, I think. And I also appreciated that they're local, which I think is helpful.
Steve, who provided the questionnaire that's actually attached to this, to the report?
Specific, isn't it?
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
So after reading through both of them, I kind of was leaning more towards Pacific Coast as well. They both they seem very thorough, have definitely laid a lot of that out. But I did like the local feel. I like that one of the principals is an Ojai resident. I think with us wanting to do a community build in Libby and really embracing Ojai's localism, I think that's important for Sarzodi as well as the overall park plan. I think having a local principal will go a long ways with that overall plan for all the parks. It's a longtime Ojai resident, I know as well. So I think part of that is I think that was kind of the tipping point for me at least. And I did like Pacific Coast had a lot of local area examples in here too, a lot of projects in Ventura and whatnot. And I thought that kind of gave them a better feel for this area. Community had a ton of good projects as well. It looked like a lot of them were down in the Riverside area. So again, the tipping point for me was more just the localism and trying to embrace the Ojai community a little bit more.
For myself, I have questions, but it is really challenging because they're both very good proposals.
We're not going to go wrong.
I know. No, the first time my initial was Pacific Coast, same thing. I like what they presented. It's they were talking, just a philosophy. They're looking at it, and they had an environmental part of it, just being sensitive to that, and regionally specific, and being sustainable, and just more of a interactive site surveys and being there and watching the park use and things that I didn't see in the other one. Although there was both community outreach in them. Mm-hmm. I obviously don't like the fact that it would cost $6,000 more because it needs to be about being in budget. If that's what we've put the our RFP out there, it just needs to be within budget. And I know that you asked that question. Do you feel that specifically with Pacific Coast, you could, you had a question regarding that extra cost? Is that reflecting on staff's work? Is that something that you don't
That's
think-
the concern, is that it would probably require a bit more staff time. You know, their RFP was certainly responsive in terms of meeting the objectives and also being within budget. So I think Commissioner Ittner summed it up pretty well in terms of what the differences might be there. Again, I think we would be happy to work with either firm here, and like I said, I don't really think we could go wrong here. But like I said, for me, that was kind of the tipping point when you're trying to do an apples to oranges. But, you know, I hear your comment, Commissioner Dutter. I had a lot of the same thoughts as I went through this the first time. I kind of feel a bit like Mr. Grant did with the community design build for Liberty Park. It was like one day I was here and the next day I was here.
Yep.
I'm glad I didn't have 4 proposals to choose from. So,
I mean, that would be that, I feel the same exact way, like they're both really good. It's just that, I don't know, if that was something that staff would take on that portion, because I don't think that we should, if RFP was for a certain amount, it should be
well,
for that. Like
we're certainly not, you know, we're not, there's no way that we're certainly just going to, you know, be a turnkey thing and we just turn it over to them and, you know, come back and talk to us in 3 months and tell you what you got. So I think it's more a question of, you know, how much staff involvement may be involved. And so, you know, so I think to keep it proportional, I do not see that as a major issue for us. I think we could certainly work with Pacific Coast and get an excellent product. And, you know, I think they've got a pretty solid approach there. And it's not a massive concern for us. Like I said, it was just if you were trying to make that apples to apples comparison, that was really the thing that I saw as being the big difference there. But you can easily, like you said, you know, there's a lot of intangibles there. And it's hard to, you know, weigh all that out. So, again, I know I'm repeating myself here, but really feel like we can't really go wrong. We certainly would be comfortable with going with Pacific Coast and taking that recommendation to council.
I do like that, that the Community Works did have, you know, the experience. We were talking about a scooter park with the skate park in Piru.
Yeah, they've done work in Fillmore
You
and
know,
Piru.
Something like, you know, that's something just a little different out there, but I don't think that they're not capable, Pacific Coast will be capable of doing that. It's just,
Absolutely.
you know,
They're both
when you look at
capable.
what their experiences are and both of these proposals were very well put together and the timelines are very similar. It's just that there's different parts in the timeline that Pacific Coast seemed to, you know, look like, I don't know, there was a little bit more in there that was community driven, and that's something I appreciate for our community. So
Sunday, did Community Works help with the skate park project in some
No,
way
they
too?
didn't.
Our skate park? They
no,
didn't.
they didn't.
Oh, for some reason I thought
they
had.
didn't.
Yeah, I did too, from reading
They
it.
were-
Somehow I got that idea.
There
I'm
was a
not sure where I got it.
consultation at some
Yes.
point.
Yeah,
but
there
it
were
was not
consultants
work-
at one point,
They didn't
right?
do
Well,
any-
they were consulted, I believe, on the project. They were not
Yeah.
the consultants. Like, I think someone
they are
actually
not
went out.
skate park
No.
builders.
No.
When we
Right.
built the skate park, we specifically looked for experienced skate park builders, design build, and they have, I mean, obviously they've done a couple, but we were looking for a certain amount of skate parks that people had built and certain size and.
But they really didn't do any consulting to
No,
speak of.
I
really?
think the only
Or-
reference, the only way I remember them is that they, I believe, had worked with Dale in a previous city
Project.
with something project, yeah. But I don't think I don't personally remember.
Yeah,
I don't think we hired them.
We didn't hire them.
For myself, both of them were very well done professional
Yeah.
presentations. I did think Community Works was just a little bit more, and for bang for your buck, if you will, Community Works did seem to me, while not all inclusive of other parks, did seem to give the most, or what we would get out of their final product, in my estimation. But you know, that's just what it is on paper.
Well, and I think in any experience like this, where you're engaging the community, and it's a process of engagement of the community. What you get in your plan is only as good as the engagement that you get, which is not to disparage either of these firms, but so to base our decision based on a product. The product is the outcome of the process. So you need to decide on your consultant based on the one you think is strongest in the facilitation, from my perspective, of the process. Because the final product is just the culmination of the process. So for me, I guess that's where I keep coming back. Somehow I just have this sense that the local connection for that part of the process, which is what's going to determine the plan, seems like a really important portion of our, when I'm looking at which firms to do. I think that is a key component, but I do understand.
Yeah, no, I do like the local element as well.
Okay, at the risk of sounding redundant, a lot of the same things. I like the local part of Pacific Coast. I had a note saying that, much more city involvement, which is both a plus and a minus. There's going to be more time. And keep in mind, the budget was really based on the money that we had, not
we had
on
that
really,
discussion, didn't we? Yes.
not on what we even thought was
Yeah.
realistic, or
Right.
it was just, here's the money we've got, and coincidentally, they both come out with right at that amount. I noticed that one of their master plans was half the amount for the results were in the millions of dollars in the actual construction. So you have to wonder. Both 36 pages, both well-written. I think there's got to be
There's a template in this thing?
template
Yeah.
somewhere for putting these things together. I did like one statement by the Community Works, and that was amenities best laid out for expansion with additional phases. Now, I'm sure they both do that, but they're kind of looking at that, beyond long-term piece. But I have a big concern, and that's managing expectations. It's kind of catch-22. You have to get community involvement, but with the park, we're going to get community involvement, and then we're going to have results. We're going to have something, and we're going to work together, and it's going to be there. With this, we're going to get community involvement, and we're going to have a piece of paper.
And a shade structure right after that.
And people are going to, they're going to say all this stuff that we put into, and so where is it? Well, maybe 5 years from now, maybe, because you start looking at, that doesn't even cover design budgets. And then construction budgets. The master plan is not the design of the park. So you're going to have to pay for that, and then you're going to have to pay for the actual construction. But it's a catch-22. We need it.
You got to do it.
But
Yeah.
I think we're going to really have to manage the expectations of the people that we
And I think we're being
a
very
very valid, yeah.
And I think it's the beginning, and we wanted to do this for so long, because we can't really, I never want to start without a plan. And here the next thing on our agenda is talking about the capital improvement plan. So there's things on here that we're sort of putting on hold because we want to make the best decisions with the community's, money. So I think we
And there
have
is
to have a
money
plan.
already in the capital
Yeah.
improvement budgeted for projects. Maybe those projects change based on the outcome of the planning, I don't know. But it isn't, we have some projects going forward, but I hear what you're saying. It gets very exciting, everyone gets very excited, they get in the room, they give you all the information, and you hope that they understand that this doesn't mean that in a year even, we're going to be
especially
able to.
probably a lot of the same people that are involved will be involved in the park,
Right, in
because
Libby.
they're involved, and they're going to see results there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
So.
that's actually a plus for them to work on that and to see how, as a
That will
community,
come
we
to
can come
fruition,
together.
yeah.
Yeah, things happen. So, we're discussing this, and we have one person in the audience. Is it a time for, if anyone wanted, as an agenda item, to have comments, or?
For all of those people in the
Absolutely,
audience?
Madam Chair.
Yes, I have a feeling that you, I have a feeling that you have.
Well, I just wanted to say, I heard some concern about the RFP budget amount. I know that was available funds, but just for the record, the approval that was made for the Libby Park contract for the community-based playground was significantly higher than what was originally represented. Council said okay. So I'm just saying, if there's a strong case to be made, I think the council's probably receptive.
Okay, thank you.
Is that fair to say, Steve, in your opinion?
Oh, I'm not one to interpret what I think the council may
I'll
or may
just
not
say-
be receptive to.
But I'll just state the fact. I'll just state the fact.
It's happened.
The council did approve a significantly higher amount than originally represented for the Libby Park playground. So, you know, I don't think you need to be, if you can make a strong case for a little bit more money, then don't be afraid to make it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
The only comment I wanted to make, or additional comment at this point, was that in light of the drought and the water restrictions, I think that's already within here. I don't think it's something that we need to change the scope, but I think it's something that we definitely, as we go into engaging with the community and the consultants, to actually have as a particular goal to see what we could possibly do at Sarzati to reduce our water use, whether that's by, you know, moving things around and maximizing, or, you know, maybe there are some areas where we have turf that we really don't need turf, which then might be able to, if we can save a little bit there, maybe that will allow us to keep some other areas. So that might be something that we want to have them spend a little time working
Throw
on
into
as
the
well.
mix.
Yeah.
Just a speculative thought. Is there any non-toilet gray water being generated at park operations?
Probably very little from the
Showers,
kitchen.
dishwashers, washing
Showers,
machines?
probably a
There's-
little.
There's no, we do not have showers
See, I don't
at,
think
we
we have
don't have
showers.
showers at Sarazoti.
I'm exposing my ignorance, you know, so.
No, it's okay. We have our kitchen in the Boyd Center.
Which is
There's a
used
snack bar that's
Not very
not
regularly.
very
Yeah.
but it's not
It's a really
operating right
good question,
now.
though.
Thought I'd ask.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Maybe
and I-
there were some washing machines
Yeah.
for clothing or
Oh.
towels or,
We're pretty low impact over there.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is pretty
okay.
low impact. You've got 2 restrooms inside the Boyd Center.
can't use that. Yeah.
no.
Just wondering.
No,
That's a good question.
It's good to think of everything. And in the Pacific Coast, the first part in the project approach is our philosophy, and its development embraces sustainable, low-impact, water-conserving, wildlife-friendly, embodied energy practices. And, you know, so I think it's,
The other,
That's
they
it.
they had a
Community
strong
does.
statement for
Yeah,
green.
they've got,
did they? And
development.
they also have LEED certified.
Yeah, okay.
Which is
So more
Great.
discussion, or
I know.
where are we? Because you're looking for a recommendation at the end of our discussion.
Yeah, I have nothing further at this point, unless you have any further questions.
I do not. I do not.
so the committee didn't have, I mean, I heard recommendation here and I heard one there,
We didn't
but did
come
the
to a
committee
conclusion.
have, they did not have a
No?
recommendation.
Yeah, this was a tough one, so,
So
yeah.
leaving it up to us.
That was the idea.
Well, one of the committee members is absent too, so I'm sure I think he was leaning more toward Pacific Coast. Not to speak for him, but I think he was.
Yeah. I won't speak for him.
But I'll
What we
say I
got
think
here.
he was.
But yeah, I think a lot of the comments made by the commissioners tonight were pretty similar to the comments that we had at the committee, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard. Both done so well.
And just to follow up on Councilmember Wyrick's suggestion, I don't think there's anything in here that would stop the commission if you did want to include in your motion to recommend an increase in funding. The only reason I think that might be logical at this point would be if you wanted to go with Pacific Coast and perhaps spend the additional funds on that additional option there, but I'm not even sure that's
I
necessary.
don't know that we need to do that now, do we?
Yeah, I don't-
We could come back. If we were to choose them, could we come? We should come, I think it'd make more sense to come back after we see where we are and how much work we've done with staff and see what we need.
Well, my plan is to go to city council at the next meeting to ask
Oh,
them
I'm sorry,
to.
make a recommendation of which firm, and if
Uh-huh.
it is Pacific Land, come back later if we want to add on additional funds and we decide we need the master plan.
But we
If the
could-
recommendation-
We could do it all at once, though, where we can make a
We could.
recommendation and say, you know,
I think
we
that
also would like the extra funds.
I think that we still need to look if staff is able to do that.
I-
I don't think we
it
should
would give us time.
automatically go to put more
More
money to
funds.
it.
That's where
That's where I'm at.
yeah. Because there's
I mean,
nothing
even though
keeping us from
council
going
may
back to council.
decide to do that if staff wasn't able to accommodate the the workload.
Okay. Well, I guess when we take it to council for the award, we would want to, I think, know at that point what the full scope and budget would be. I guess I could see a scenario where maybe you could get into something midway and then, but that seems a little messy.
Well, I think historically, like the last plan was not written by a consultant, I don't believe. And the plan framework is there. And you're feeding pieces back in. And there are pieces, there's a piece that's not there that they're committed to writing for us. I'm just wondering if it's possible through commission work, committee work, if there's other ways to get at creating the document we need without spending the $6,500, or figuring out which parts of it we can do and negotiating with them the pieces that we might then need. So that's my hesitance in asking for the $6,500 in additional funds at this point, because I'm not totally certain that we need them to do the whole plan.
Okay.
I think that there's maybe a way to do this where we take our framework, we start feeding some pieces in through staff, committee works, volunteer, there's different ways to get at it, and get it done that way.
Yeah, I think that could work.
But we could also, correct me if I'm wrong, ask for the additional 6,500 from council now, and then have that discussion with Pacific Coast on the back end about how much we can actually do and whatnot. If it comes in less than our 2,650, even better. But we have the award from the city council already, in case it does max out at 2,650, right?
Right, I think that's the way to go. I
Just
agree
because
with
we
you.
have the 2,650 doesn't mean we have to use
Exactly.
the 2,650.
But we need to cover ourselves now if we're going to go that route, and we can't do what you think that we possibly could do, either all or part of. We need to be able to cover it.
I agree.
So
Well,
it's,
okay.
I think it's better to ask for it once from council than ask for it twice.
Well, yeah, we would go forward with any of these contracts. It's always a not to exceed amount.
Exactly.
And so, if the authorization is to spend up to 25, 26, or whatever it is, and then we could sit down, with some direction from council or whatnot, and then negotiate what that final contract would be and what that amount would be. As long as obviously we wouldn't go beyond the exceed amount.
right.
So if that's what the commission is leaning towards, we can certainly take that recommendation forward to council.
I guess it's an issue of, do we feel strongly enough about Pacific Coast that we'd want to potentially spend another 6,000 of the city's?
To be clear, I'm still, so we're getting all the things we asked for in the RFP, the pieces.
I agree.
We're just not getting a document. Or we're getting pieces of the document, we're not getting a package.
Like I said, I think if you do an apples to apples, you get a little bit more of a complete package at the end in terms of
You
what
get a
community
report.
works. Right, right,
With less staff.
right,
And
correct.
there's obviously a fiscal impact by having more staff involvement.
right. But having said that, I do not think that the way that the current proposal from Pacific Coast, that's not something that we could not work with and manage with the current staff.
The current
Yeah.
proposal
Yeah.
with current staff, without the 6,500.
That's correct. I think we could manage that as well.
My comfort level is to go with that, and then there's nothing that prohibits us later, if we find that that's not going to work for us, to come back.
Exactly.
Correct. We don't know what the consultant, tune would be at that point. But yeah, there's always another opportunity. We would just have to schedule
We're
something and
still
take it
gonna-
back
we're
to
gonna
council,
We're going to get the design.
right?
We're going to get all of the drawings. We're going to get all of the information that comes out of the informational meetings. All of this is going to come back to us, right? I mean, that's what they and that's what it says in
Yes.
here.
Yep. Yeah, and we clarified that with them.
Yeah, and so so that's where we'll have all of the work product. And even if the report isn't complete upon the absolute end of this process, we still have all the pieces and can move forward, because we will know in our plan that we've developed with the community what we're looking for in that park. What we won't have is a document in hand, but we will have a plan that says, we want to have this here, this here, this here, and that there. Because that is part of what they will produce and we will get for them.
But isn't the goal to have that final product as well? I would think then you went, 95% of the way. You didn't go that extra 5%.
How you get to that 5%, I don't know. I just would, I'm more comfortable, this is my comfort zone, to move forward, have all the pieces, flesh it out, work with their committee. I'm happy to work on it, and maybe if we can get other people, we've done this before historically in Ojai with community staff, partnerships. And what we are asking for is money of a different sort, which is staff time, and I know it's precious and there's not a lot of it, but it's a different way to get at the same thing. And I just would like to explore our possibilities of doing it that way before we ask to commit to $6,500 more of consultant time.
I
I
feel
would
the same way.
I would rather, my personal preference would be to ask for it up front and then have that discussion on the back end with Pacific Coast. And then if we don't need it, we don't need it.
Okay, But
I agree
Sage.
with what Commissioner Ittner saying, that we definitely, try to go that route and, stay within the 20 or so. But I think asking for it just in case we need it, I think is always better than going back a second time.
Okay.
What's kind of not fully understanding what it is that we're getting for 65, for me, it sounds like we're just collating and stapling for $6,500, and I gotta think it's gotta be more than that.
It isn't just
I couldn't
collated.
read that
If
into
you
this.
looked at, if you've, I didn't bring the existing Sarzardi plan with me, I wish I had. But it's a framework, and it has, in the front, you have a contents, and here's the introduction to the background of the park, here is what the involvement process was in a written format, and here are the things that we have, here's what we would like to have, here are the plans that go in there, and one of the things they will add that we wouldn't have to do ourselves is a vision for that park, which isn't in our current plan. And that becomes the master plan document.
Let me just read what it says, and it's on page 2.6 of Pacific Coast proposal. It's subtask 3.3, coordinate staff written component of master plan. Pacific Coast will work with city staff to include plan level graphics and public meeting documentation in the updated master plan document. It is anticipated that, similar to the previous master plan document, city staff can take the lead in modifying the text of the formal written document. For additional fee, Pacific Coast can take the lead in producing the full master plan text, however, to meet the stated project budget, Pacific Coast and staff can work together to efficiently produce a well-coordinated document. So I think if you look at Community Works, we're still getting a fairly similar end product. It's just with Pacific Coast, they're relying on staff to have a strong role in putting that part of it together. Yeah.
Yeah, the final document.
And as they state there, they are happy to do that for the additional $6,500.
Yeah, I'm good. I either way is fine with me. I just have, that's my preference, but either way is fine. But so are we. We're kind of getting to the point. We continue to talk about Pacific Coast land design. So does that mean all of us are feeling
Sounds like it.
like that's that's what we're leaning toward, that proposal?
I am.
Okay.
How about you?
So
Or
then
do
it's,
we need
so
to-
then we need to make a recommendation, and then it's about whether we're making a recommendation to award as per the existing budget, or are we making a recommendation to award and request an additional $6,500?
Okay, should I go ahead?
Somebody may make a motion if they would like. That might help.
Okay.
Might not.
I'm gonna make a motion because I'm trying to remember this.
Well-
I'll make a motion
Okay?
that I'm sorry, go ahead.
He's just chuckling.
Are you laughing? No laugh.
He's chuckling at our process.
You're being very careful with your process.
We are. Okay. Make a motion that we recommend Pacific Coast Land Design for the Sarasota Park Master Plan.
Be awarded the
Be awarded the Sarasota Master Plan
contract?
Sorry.
That's okay. We're going to work together.
Fine.
We'll do this together. Does anyone, you want to make are we good? Because everyone.
Is that at the
At the-
recommended budget amount?
Or are we requesting
Well,
the
that would be a
$6,500?
second one.
You
We
could
talked about
roll
that
it into
being a
one.
second. Or do you want to roll that into one?
This is the question. Where are we?
Well, it'd be rolled into one if it's hinging on that. If we're willing to accept it either way, then you could have it two separate. In other words, if
Yeah.
we're only gonna go forward with the extra 60, with the potential of having the extra 6,000, we should roll it into one.
Right,
If we're not willing to,
right.
in other words, they're tied together.
And
The
yeah,
question is, do you want them tied together?
from where I sit, I think Pacific Coast?
Mm-hmm.
Pacific Coast would be my choice either way. But I would agree.
So
that
do you want to do it in two
roll-
motions? First is to award the contract, and the second is a motion to add an additional 6,500 to the budget? That would mean
Or
that if it gets
request.
there, they could go with one motion but not the other, and we would still have a contract.
Well, why don't you run it up the flagpole, see how it goes? So,
Okay.
just to.
Is that what you're saying? And that was
No,
what I
I
took away.
guess if we're saying we really want Pacific Coast.
Yeah.
Right. And then
Right.
we're willing, then let's just make that our motion.
And then if it fails, you could always come back, if it fails with or without the 65, then you could always come back with another motion which just addresses the award.
So first, we're awarding the
well-
contract to Pacific Coast Land
Yeah,
Design.
if it failed.
And second, or not? The second.
That's the
We're
first
waiting.
motion?
That's the first one.
Is that what we're coming up with?
Are we willing to go with Pacific Coast without the 6,000?
Well, I am.
I am.
Yes. And then, well, it's not even really, it's us. It's really, that kind of goes
No,
back
no.
on staff.
That's back to council. Are we willing to recommend it with or without the 6,500 is what you're asking?
Not recommend, are we willing to go with it?
Well, I know, but
We're willing to go with
our-
Pacific Coast at the 20,000.
Yes.
And if we don't get 6,000 later on, then staff's gonna have to do the work with them for the
Right.
final product.
Correct.
So it really kind of goes back to staff. Can you handle that based on what little you know there?
Yes, we're confident that we can. We can make this work.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion.
Okay.
I motion,
I'm sorry,
Okay.
just so that I know this is a little
Just say it again.
hyperactive, but
Do it again.
the chair should probably withdraw. You kind of started getting a motion out there, just so that we make sure that we're
Sorry.
perfectly
I'm going to
clear.
withdraw the
Thank you.
motion. Sorry.
No,
We-
we're
We
good.
just want to get it right.
Yes.
one
One
at a
motion
time,
at a
only
time.
one on the table.
Correct.
I need a
Sorry.
T-shirt that says that. That's good.
I'm too
Okay.
excited.
I'm going to withdraw my motion, and we'll start fresh.
I motion that we recommend to council to accept the proposal from Pacific Coast Land Design for the Sarasota Park Master Planning
And award the contract.
and award the contract to them.
I second
second
the
that.
motion.
Okay.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Woohoo,
Okay, so
One down.
motion passes.
Thank you. We take these very seriously.
we're getting there.
Right.
Just to
Okay.
make sure that I have that straight.
Yep.
We're going forward to council with the recommendation of Pacific Coast Land Design as they proposed
Yes.
Yes.
with the okay, got it. That passes 4-0.
Okay, now, if you guys, if you wanted another motion about an additional budget, that, we could do that now. I'm not introducing it,
I'm not either.
so,
Sounds like, okay.
that doesn't mean
We all look at Adam.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I mean, we're
I mean,
kind of
but
putting
staff
on,
just said
yeah,
that
we're
they
putting
could
on,
do it.
it's not
Yeah.
really, it's not on us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, it's the staff's work, so we can leave it alone but I don't know if that's,
I'm fine with that. If Steve feels confident we can do that, and we've put an RFP out there for a certain
Well,
amount
like
of
you
money.
talked
and-
about, can't you come back at a later time and ask for that additional funding down the road if it's necessary? Anyway,
There,
if we feel
It's
like
happened
staff
before.
can't do it.
Yes.
you could.
Okay. Do we,
do,
I mean, you could come back, but I wouldn't recommend it because it's time consuming. It gets a little
Okay.
strange there. I don't want to never say never. That's where I'm coming from here.
Okay.
Sometimes we can get into unforeseen things. So, but generally, I think for good practice, you want to know what it is going in, what the scope of the work is, what the budget is, and if we're not comfortable with that, we should probably make that decision before we get underway. But
but I also feel that if you're confident that staff, I mean, you would know. And
yeah, as I've stated, we're perfectly comfortable with the Pacific Coast proposal as written, with the staff input. With that, we can make that work.
and maybe we do, like, as you were talking about, community.
Correct.
Well, okay.
participation within that.
This is the way I would see it, though. If we have concerns, and one of the things is I would hate to have this be a big surprise if we did come back. So it's possibly, should we be recommending that we may, the possibility of expanding the
At some
budget
point.
to 6,500 if necessary? Is there a way to look at it that way? So that we're letting
that
them
it's
know
on
that that
there?
may come back?
So that'd be like recommending a contingency.
Mm-hmm.
We could do that.
It's similar to something else that's happened recently.
Do you want to make a motion for that?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Trying to think of the right term. Do you have the flexibility of funding that that you can get that much without our approval? Or does that, every dime that goes into this
We-
have to come through us, through the council?
City council would, we do not, at this point, we have authorization from council to spend up to $20,000. Anything beyond that, we would need to ask council
And
and
these
get their
funds were
approval.
specifically for this as well, right?
Yeah, but one of the reasons why
That's
we,
when we were
We
able to
picked the
do
number
this.
based on the fund.
Yes,
we,
were
right,
able to
based
do
on
this
what we had
because
in that park fund, that's correct.
How about this? I'm going to make a recommendation after I said I wasn't.
This is a motion or just
Motion,
discussion?
a
Okay.
motion to recommend to council a $6,000 contingency fund to be used if necessary to complete the master plan.
$6,500.
I'm going to leave off the 500 because I think we can do some staff work.
Okay.
I'm sure we can do $500 worth of staff work.
Do they say up to 6,500? Is that what
Yeah.
they say, or it's just a?
They just
They
gave
said
a
that they
flat-
would do that for an additional fee of $6,500. That's the way they stated it, right?
We could discuss that motion and then see if that's what we're interested in, or that's the wrong order, isn't it?
Yeah, you didn't have a second yet.
Yep, don't, okay.
Yeah, I gotta think about this. Say it again.
Oh,
The motion is to recommend to city council a $6,000 contingency for the contract Pacific Coast Land Design.
And that would be if, that's, so when you go to the next city council meeting, you would ask for that, and that would be a yes or no from city council. And within that time frame from now until then, you would figure out if staff would have the resources to either do
If
that part
staff
of it,
or volunteers.
or volunteers,
Or some.
or you won't, and.
No, not before then. It's a contingency.
Okay.
That my goal in that contingency idea is that we get started with the process. We see where we are, and staff assesses what they can do. We assess if we can get other people to participate in helping do that, and then it's there if necessary.
Okay.
But this,
And I understand what,
So we're not fully asking for the additional 6,500, 6,000.
I guess my struggle
asking.
with that would be, what would be the trigger then? Who, at
Exactly.
what
That's
point would we, because there certainly would be different opinions. One commissioner versus another commissioner versus staff, might say, gee, we really need this, and others might say, no, I think we're fine, let's not spend the money. So I'm struggling a little bit with that.
well, I guess this is assuming that we are going to come out with a plan and what it's going to take to get there. So I'm not sure, and this may not be the right way to do it, but what we're saying is we have all these pieces, it's all coming to us, and you're saying staff can do it, but it might, be a lot for staff to do. So maybe we can come up with a strategy where staff is doing a part of it, and maybe the consultant is doing a piece of it, so that it isn't the full 6,000, but how do we get to getting to that plan? And you're uncomfortable with the ambiguity of the process, that.
Well, yeah, I am, at least in terms of what the trigger point would be. I'm okay with, putting a contingency on there as long as it's clear to the council and everybody
And that's very important
when
to
that would come
communicate.
into
yeah, and
play,
at what
right?
point do you go, you know what, we don't have time to do this, we're gonna need that $6,000.
And I think the hope is, kind of like with the movement toward community building, I'm hoping that the process and working with staff, that we can come up with a model that maybe is some of that money and then staff time and figuring out how to get it done.
Well, here's-
It's not an either or this way, because what we're looking at right now is 6,000 is they do it. no 6,000, staff does it.
Yeah, and I guess part of that is assuming that the consultants is willing to engage in that, and I don't know.
Can I simplify this?
Yes, please do.
Council, we
Please
should
do.
say your name because
Bill
people
Wyrick.
they can't see you. So
What's just being proposed is you're asking is a budget authority. That is an ability to spend, not a mandate to spend.
Thank you. That is what we
So,
want.
The not to
you know, if you're asking for the budget authority, council will be very pleased if you don't spend it. But I think what the deputy city manager is trying to say is it's a lot more cleaner administratively if you just establish the budget authority, even if it
Okay.
isn't utilized.
Great, and I think that's what we want to do, so I need some guidance on
And can
how
I
to
add
do that.
one comment?
Yeah.
Is that as I'm thinking about the next couple months and staffs, we're going to be doing the community build playground, and it's all in the same timeline. And we're going to do Sarasota master plan. So I'm just saying it's a lot, and that has nothing to do with anything else going on in the city. So just those two projects alone have the same, basically, I mean,
Well,
one's a little more out, but
Like I
they're-
said, that's what kind of tipped me to Community Works was,
There's
you
a
know, and again, the issue always with staff, and I've heard this from me before, it's a matter of, if we do this, what do we not do?
I understand.
It's not our because there's only so many hours in the day, and you can squeeze and you can cram, but even with that, something tends to get pushed off the edge of the plate. So that's always the concern.
I'll just make another comment that at the last city council meeting, a request was made for additional resources to get caught up with the backlog in the community development department. The council was keenly aware and unanimously voted for those additional resources because they're keenly aware of staff shortage and understand that we cut back during the recession. I mean, this was discussed openly by all council people. So it's time to kind of, refund a little staff support from how lean we had been. So, yes, we don't want to be profligate, but seriously, I don't, again, asking for budget authority is not the same as a mandate to spend the money.
Agreed.
So the contingency is built in to the request for the authority.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think I've turned my thoughts on.
And I think more and more as we've discussed this, I'm starting to lean more and more to, maybe we need to spend the 65, because it's just, unfortunately, the coordination of getting those pieces and components to help you write it and put it together can be pretty time consuming in
Okay,
and
so
of
I think,
itself.
and what I'm hearing from you is we're asking for budget authority, so we don't even need to continue the discussion of who will, who won't. We just need to create the proper motion to request the authority to spend this money if necessary.
Correct. So what you could,
At this time. So do you want me to pull back my previous motion, which? Amend my previous motion.
And then just have one.
no, the first motion's passed.
Yeah, we
So
did that.
you
So we
could-
still have a
you-
second motion.
Right.
But I'm amending it, instead of contingency, we'd like the budget authority. Is that the
Yeah.
correct term?
So basically, you're recommending it to city council.
We recommend to city
to-
council to give budget authority
To fund this, not
Not to exceed.
not to exceed
$26,000.
$26,000.
Okay.
Okay.
I would second that.
Okay, and call for a vote?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
So that passed unanimously 4-0. Thank you,
Okay.
Councilmember Wyrick,
Thank
for
you.
your
Oh, yes,
facilitation.
thank you.
Thank you.
Can you come to every
Can I,
meeting?
no, and now this just had,
Okay,
Thank
great,
you.
thank you. Thank you so much.
so now I have another question that came up after that, which is, and this is not a question anyone's going to hear, but what about planning helping us with our planning? If we're investing in more staff there, I know they're overburdened as it is that a possibility to have them take our pieces and put it into a plan? It's
Really a
just-
city manager question, but I think I know the answer to that, and I think they're just, no. I
Since
just,
our
I just don't
element
think
is-
it's in the cards right
Our
now.
element is it 30 years old now? Yeah. But I'll just say that again, because I have to keep reminding every now and again that element of the plan is
Yep.
really old.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that is a question that would be worth posing, even just to hear what the answer is.
Yeah, but I don't think there's much extra capacity there
I
in
know.
terms of
But
assistance.
will you pose
so.
it for me anyway, and just, because if it's at all possible, that would be, staff, that's another kind of staff time that maybe we could utilize instead of money.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have anything else on that, on
Ooh, no,
A?
I think we
We're
beat
good?
that one up.
Yeah, we
Okay,
beat it.
well, here comes another one. So next on our agenda is B, prioritizing capital improvement projects for recreation facilities. Recommendation is to provide a recommendation to City Council on allocations and priority for future capital improvement projects for park and recreation facilities.
Thank you, Chair Rylander. So we tabled this at the last meeting, and it's back. Similar to the exercise that we went through about a year ago with the budget, what we're asking the commission to do is take a look at our capital improvement budget for the next few years going out. We've identified a list of potential projects based on the input from the previous meeting and included that in the packet, so hopefully we caught those. And then what we're asking the commission to do is try to give some priority to those, and if possible, roughly try to, think of, if it was your decision, what year would you like to try to slot those improvements? Basically, what we're working with minimally going forward each year, in terms of money that's being set aside for capital improvements for parks, which is the Fund 31. Really, we're picking up, obviously, starting next fiscal year going forward. Next fiscal year is a little more fleshed out than the latter years, because obviously we're getting close to it. In 15-16, we've got $130,000 currently budgeted coming from Fund 31. But I would say for purposes of this exercise, at least in terms of looking to years 15, 16, and beyond, the plan right now is to put in, well, right now it's 56,000. It's kind of an odd number, 56,550 in fiscal year 16-17, and then 55,000 in fiscal year 17-18, and probably continuing again with that in future years, but we haven't really plugged that in. So what I'm trying to state is at a minimum, we're thinking that the city will be able to continue to put in about $50,000 a year. That's the current plan into the park CIP. And then also to remind the commission, what we've been able to add to that is any monies from the recreation budget in terms of our overage in our budget, since we have been doing pretty well with getting our revenues up, and we've managed to keep our expenses down. As you know, the last few years we've been running a little bit to the black in the department, although again I have to put a big disclaimer and asterisk next to that, because the reason that the recreation department runs in the black is because we get a $371,000 subsidy from the general fund. However, the council and the city manager has recognized that it's a good incentive for the department and a nice reward. And so at least the current plan is if we do have any overages from the budget, that we will also put that into future capital improvements. So I know for this fiscal year, conservatively, and it would dump into next fiscal year, would be about 30,000. And that's about what we've got budgeted for the subsequent fiscal year. So if you add all that together, that's about $85,000 for in 16-17, and about the same amount again in 17-18. So I throw those numbers out. Again, this is kind of difficult because we're trying to plan the future here, and we don't know whether or not this is going to hold, but at least this gives us some type of a framework and a plan, and we can start giving some priority to these. Something else I was going to mention, and I've lost it. Anyways, we did prepare the list. I'd be happy to go with you at this time in terms of the items that were came up with for consideration. And again, the dollar figures that we came up with, these were very preliminary. And in some cases, I acknowledge we may be way under on our estimates, and we may have greatly overestimated on some. Again, we didn't have an opportunity to put too much staff time and research into these. For example, the bottom of the page, the water element, I know that's a very low number. I put 5,000 on there.
I was like, wow.
I know. Well, of course, my idea was just put a floor drain and drag the sprinklers out there, but no, I'm just kidding. But we actually did get a proposal from a company, and again, it's just one proposal, so I wouldn't say that this necessarily, sets the bar or establishes what the cost would be. But that came in that one proposal that we got in, and again, we just said, give us an idea. They probably
Yeah,
reached a
there's-
little higher than what we probably would be aiming for. But that came in at, was it 39 or 35? And
It was, yeah, 39, just over 39. It's
So
from
we'll-
a company in Texas, so I'll just pass these.
Yeah, if you
to
could
my
pass
left,
that out
and
at this
You
point.
can see one of the elements, it's called a water cave, so they have one, main element, and then you can put in-ground splash or in-ground fountains. But it sounded like very flexible on just like Libby Playground will be, is, how much do you want there? How many different water elements do you want there, and adjust your bottom line accordingly. But I'll pass these along, and just, you can actually go to their website and see everything that they have. But it does seem a little in the drought season that we're in, to be suggesting
Yeah.
a splash pad and water.
so again, these
Water
are
element.
pretty preliminary estimates on a lot of these. And on some of them, we specifically said, let's not put a dollar figure on the pool or something like that, but at least let's have it on the list so that we can have it in there for discussion. The other thing that I wanted to point out is, and I had missed this in the report, but for the parking lots, and I believe we actually have that on here. Sorry, I probably should have numbered these. But about halfway down on page 3, we have repave, reline. Actually, you do work on these reports. I know a good week goes by and you forget what you do. I forget. I actually alphabetized these reports so that you could find your way through them. And I also coordinated it according to project value. So that's what the second page is. Page 4 is listing of value. So if you go to your alphabetical list on page 3, you should be able to pretty easily find the repave and relining of the north parking lot. That is actually already identified, I'm glad to say, as a capital improvement. Right now, it's slated for fiscal year 16-17. It's not on the parks page, which is why I overlooked it. It's on the parking lots page. So we do, so we do have, I think that was the second sheet that I gave you there. If you look on the parking lots, fiscal year 16-17, we've got the north and the south lot budgeted 12,000 and 10,000 respectively. So, so just to let you know that that is on the list already. Doesn't mean that you couldn't recommend, moving it up, moving it down, that type of thing. But as you're probably well aware, I'm getting increasingly concerned with the state of that parking lot, and we know we've got to do the master planning, and hopefully we'll be moving through pretty quickly on that. So I think we can hold off on a few months, but I guess I'm stepping a little too far here. I'm getting a little bit into the pitch mode, but obviously that is a concern there with that parking lot. You can't see the lines anymore, and it's just really starting to look pretty bad. So hopefully that'll be something that we'll be able to address, if not in 16, 17.
On top of that, the
sooner.
layout just isn't all that great either.
Correct, and that's one of the things we want to get the master plan back to tell us what, hey, you really need to reconfigure your parking, or don't, or here's what you should do. So, so that's where we're at with that. So just wanted to add that into the mix. So I know it went pretty quick here. Any questions at this point?
There's one thing I'm not seeing on here.
Okay.
that We talked about
May
in
have
the
missed a
previous
couple.
meeting, which is participating in the funding of the skate park lights.
That's correct. And actually, your chair and I spoke briefly about that before. I just didn't have a number on that, and that's what I was waiting for. And, but again, this is not this list is a working list. We can add to it. You can take off it, however you want to go forward and prioritize that. So.
I think I mean, we have so many things on here that are unknown as far as estimates.
Right.
I'm curious if Vicky and the gymnastics team had anything.
She didn't give me any pricing or amounts or specific equipment.
I know she was
think
working
she
on
did
it.
have a specific piece of equipment she was
Yeah,
discussing.
we talked about
Yeah, I don't remember I don't recall what it was, but
5,000?
Yeah, but she hasn't given any feedback on that.
Priority is our top participating program.
Well, yeah, I guess part of the exercise isn't to give
We're just
give
gonna
us prioritize
Okay.
that list and bring it
But if
to
you
the
want to
next
put a
meeting.
dollar amount on it as a target, you could certainly do that, sure.
I mean, I think she knows best, but it would
Yeah.
be nice to have that at some point.
Yeah, and again, just because we put something on the list, doesn't mean we're gonna run out and spend the money if we don't need it. I mean, obviously, in that case, I think there's clearly needs, and clearly, if you gave them $5,000, they would be able to put that, I think, to some well-needed equipment.
I can go back and see what that piece of equipment was and send you an email if you'd like, but.
And I have another question. Is this where it belongs, the capital? If we feel that, and this is just, that I guess up to this point, we haven't been paying for any equipment for that program at all. And if we feel as a commission that it would be a recommendation that we should have an ongoing stake in helping pay for that equipment, is it a capital improvement plan, or is it something we put in our budget that says each year we'd like to allocate this much money towards equipment for gymnastics? And then it's not about having her giving us costs on equipment, it's about creating a mechanism, a funding mechanism to make sure that there's money there for equipment.
Well, I guess the issue then, if we do it that way, is we'd have to take something out that we're funding right now in the budget.
Because that's a different pool of money. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good.
And then I had a couple questions as far as prioritizing. A lot of these things are, things that we can enhance. A lot of our programs that are really successful. And then there's things that are almost like maintenance. I was talking to Steve about this, that, if there was, I'm just going to throw this out as a conversation with everyone, just so they might have the same question, that there's things in here that are like refinishing the stage, there's things that seem more maintenance to me than, lights for a facility, so that you could have a group of participants, they gain 4 hours a day to do something, you know what I mean? I'm just curious if there was things on here that would actually go to a different line item.
Well, it's kind of the same answer in a certain extent. We have $8,000 in the maintenance fund, and we try really hard to use that judiciously, and we try to I really make a point of pushing the staff to make sure that we use that money that's allotted to us. Some of these things are I would say they're maintenance that you're not going to do every year or every couple of years. I don't know how often you really have to sand, repaint, and refinish the gym floor. I mean, I know it's something that we need to do because it's well overdone, as Commissioner Roddick pointed out. But it wouldn't be something that we have in the annual maintenance budget, the buffing and the cleaning of the floors. So this would be going beyond that, much like, we have money in the maintenance budget to take care of the ball fields and that type of thing. But if we're going to go out there and do a re-leveling, that would be kind of a above and beyond type of thing that wouldn't fall into the normal annual budget.
Because we also, I think last meeting talked about the possibility of, with the gym floor, like every year we put a certain amount in to budget for, maybe it's 3 years from now, we have enough money that then they get done again because they need to, we're not, does that make sense? Like, we've budgeted every year for these bigger things that need to happen every year instead of taking big chunks,
Correct, and we're
guessing like.
Right, you're talking about like a sinking replacement fund, and we're trying to get towards that with the city. Right now we do not have, for example, we're trying to and starting to build into the budgets sinking funds for vehicle replacement and computer replacement, so that it is being done on a regular basis and you're not getting caught short and you have the money to do that. I agree.
Until it's falling apart.
It would be good, I think, to ultimately get to the point where we could have a sinking fund, for building maintenance and things like that as well.
There's not a mechanism for that yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Right. So to a certain extent, I guess it's all how you kind of push the money around.
Okay.
Well, I was looking at it the same way. And a lot of these things are,
Planning.
and staff's going to know. I mean, we can do a drive-by and say, wow, you really need this, but you guys live with it day in and day out. What is your priority? Because you've got a bunch of things here that are repaint, replace, even the passenger van.
Right.
That kind of thing. You guys, should that be kind of like, that should be on your priority list of if we, what are we going to hit next with the money that we have?
Right. What's important to us in relation to the programming we currently are offering? And do we really need to resand the stage refinish the stage when we only use it for music lessons? We're not carrying big theater performances there right now. But if we were, sure, maybe that jumped to the top of the list, but right now we're not. So you're right, I probably would take this list and maybe prioritize it a little bit, maybe even a lot more differently than you would.
Yeah.
But I think I'd like to see your input on it and what you think is a priority for Sarasota Park.
I think you bring up an interesting point, which is, and I think we do need to kind of give you that feedback from the staff's perspective. There are things in here which, again, I don't want to put a negative light on it, but, they're more wish list things, whether it's doing an outdoor basketball court or whatever that may be, as opposed to something like sanding, repainting, and refinishing the gym floor. That's a capital investment that we've already made that we know is going to continue to deteriorate. It's much like the roof on your house. The more that you wait, you're going to start running into other problems with your infrastructure potentially. It's going to be more to replace down the road, and certainly it does have impact on potentially will have impact on your programs as well. So that might be one where I think from the staff's perspective, we might say, yeah, we would probably put that fairly high on the list because it has been so long since it's at least 10 years overdue for that type of work.
When we talk about sanding it, that means, as if you were refinishing your own floors in your home, getting all the lines off and having to redo all the lines on the court. And that is a huge project. And how often that should be done, I'm not quite sure and would have to look into it. But yeah, I would have my own list. I would prioritize this list maybe a little bit differently than you because I am looking at it on a day-to-day as some of the other staff in the program would. So having you prioritize it might not necessarily be
maybe we take
the fair.
Yeah, I think, but for me, I look at it and I look at this list and I think of a lot of these things are maintaining and enhancing existing facilities and programs that we have, like or offering something new, like the bike park pump track, Boyd Center Shade. We've talked about how much they need that and how much you're already using that space, but how much more, for $5,000, how much more you would get out of that space and comfort for the participants, and then exterior lights and shade for the back for CrossFit. For minimal $1,500, they're gonna they'll be comfortable and not cooking in the sun and can see with lights. So that makes sense.
Intuitively, I think you already have answered where our priority list would go. It's the programs that are currently doing well and running and that need attention. So,
and new opportunities like.
So I think you're talking, and when you see some of these other things that look like just general maintenance, sure, they probably should bump to the bottom of the list.
So I would say also like gymnastics, if we knew what she needed for equipment, so we could, support that program. Sanding, repainting, refinishing the gym floor completely makes sense to me because it's needed and the use in there is continual. It's just constant. Sarasota ball field, that makes sense to me because that's another successful program that we're using all the time. Skate park lights that aren't on here, again, you're talking about another group that we've really been trying hard to find opportunities for, like an age group. And it's right downtown, and you'd be adding hours and comfort because it's hot and then it's dark early. So that totally makes sense to me. And the computers would be another program that we talked about would another, like that teen group, getting them into the rec center and offering resources and things like that. So, but the
Those
question.
are,
it does
those are for the
sound like-
office, right?
But
for
it
the
does,
office.
yeah,
Okay, I
I think
thought those
so.
were
But it does,
No.
but I just, you, as
It's
you're
not
speaking aloud, it does sound like you have a sense of how you think that list should be prioritized.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and each one of us might have a different take on it, but
Yeah,
I
and I
think
had
part
some-
of the process is, I don't know if it's all for discussion here, or you go back maybe and do your own ratings and then collectively
Yeah.
see how close they match up, and then between staff and the commission, and see if we can come to an agreement on the true prioritized list of where we
How
want
do you want to
see
do
that.
that, Steve? Because
I-
I thought we were talking about
I have
that
a
tonight.
slightly different take on this from my perspective.
Okay.
I don't have the expertise nor the understanding on a lot of the maintenance issues to really prioritize them. So from that standpoint, I would look to staff to say, this is really what we need to do now on those projects that fall into that, maintenance kind of category.
Uh-huh.
Because that is kind of a category. What I kind of see here is I see maintenance, I see capital expenditures for vehicles or things that major purchases that need to be made for the department. Again, I don't really know what the priorities are on some of that stuff either. Where I have more of a opinion from
Yeah.
my perspective and feel is timing of some of these larger projects.
Yeah, and I think
And the
we're-
capital improvement projects. And I feel more of a comfort dealing with those than I do the maintenance issue kinds of things.
And I'd say that's where we're really looking for the input
the
from the
feedback.
commission
Okay.
and
That's
the
what
community
I was-
from. So I think those are good comments.
There's a lot we need to hold for the plan.
For me, I really want to see Sarzodi Park Playground on our capital improvement plan. We need to pin it on a year and get it in there so that we're moving forward toward that. Because I think we should have it on there 17, 18. And again, it's not one, though it's a larger expenditure than we have to spend that term. I think we're just looking at the Fund 31 money. And again, we need to, I don't think it should hold us back from
Sure.
putting it on there that we don't have the full budget on that. It needs to be on
Oh, I
there.
agree.
And then we look for the money and we budget a part of Fund 31 and we're going to look to other places like Sarzodi's, going to continually have CDBG money. It is in the right zone, it qualifies.
Should,
I know we don't get
right.
it every year, but, so
Right.
I would really, for me, the top priority for me at this point would be to get the Sarzodi playground on the capital improvement plan, and I would like it in 17, 18, is what we're shooting for. So would be, if you're looking for my number one top priority at this point, that would be mine. And as far as maintenance, I defer to staff to know what needs to be done first and foremost.
Well, there's a few different ways that we could try to tackle this, and one of the thing would be, can we try to identify as maybe a first step here, what are the projects that we'd like to try to knock out in for next 3-4 years? And then maybe we can kind of create that list.
Uh-huh.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, when you're looking at, if you're asking us to prioritize, when I look at refinishing the stage and curtain, those just little things right there are
Right.
$46,000. So if we're gonna prioritize, and we could have a bike park for 40, you know what I mean? It's like, they should be in there, but if it's putting baseboards in, or finishing the baseboards, I don't know, I feel like.
You're gonna have to find the balance.
Yeah,
And I
that
think,
sort of-
and you're gonna have to find that not the full budget of one,
For something,
is out
yeah.
of the fund. We're shooting for this year
Exactly.
and we're just looking at this one piece of funding, and there hopefully, as you see on our existing capital improvements, a lot of our big projects are not done with one source of funding.
Correct.
And so we don't have to balance it that way exactly. This is what we aspire to do. This is the first piece of the money. And then as we are getting closer and closer, try and find the other pieces that are going to make that project work. That's how I'm viewing it.
And on top of that, we're gonna have some community outreach, and maybe there'll be something else that's gonna be added to this.
Well, and that's the thing with Sarzodi. I think,
But there's only so much space at Sarasota Park too, as far as.
I just mean that the master plan will inform the process.
Yeah, it will. It'll.
For the next year,
Mm-hmm.
shade structure outside, I would say if we could get it done this year, it's not a huge expenditure between the two buildings. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that done. I mean, I wish we could get it done before this summer because it creates so much more capacity for our summer programming. And I know that wasn't the question you were asking, but the shade sales or something like that, but if we can find the money to get that done,
I don't think we have money in the budget this year for that.
okay. Even if it was like $1,500 or something like that?
I don't
Maybe,
know.
maybe not. Okay, separate issue, but shade cloth for the next year as a top priority, because it changes the capacity of the classes that they can offer and the comfort level of the kids taking them. So I don't think it's going to be a big budget item, and I'd like to see it in the next, in 16, 17.
Well, I'd like to recommend that maybe we just go down the list here and kind of just take the temperature on each one of these
All right.
and see kind of,
That
you know,
sounds good.
if it's something that, you know, we're seeing in the next few years, or no, get that off the list, I don't want to see that again, or like you said, let's build that yesterday. So
Going by alphabet or cost?
I think I'll start with alphabetical.
Okay.
So the first one we have is, and we don't have a cost on this, it's the addition of air conditioning heating into the indoor restrooms. How high do you guys feel about that,
And there's,
commissioners, gals,
On a
gals?
scale of what, like 1 to 3?
Well, do you,
1 to 5,
is
1
it
to
something
10.
you'd like to accomplish in the next few years? Or is it something, and if not, do you
been
want
there
to
for
keep
like
it on
2
the list?
seconds.
Yeah, I don't
That's a
think-
low
not for me.
priority.
Okay, so I'm looking like that's a low.
Low, yeah.
Okay.
Low, medium, high, is that what we're gonna go?
How about bike park pump track?
So I had a question on that.
Mhm.
I know some of the funds for that build were coming from that group that
That's
was trying
correct.
to build this.
That's correct.
So,
We don't have any formal proposal from them on what this is, but based on my discussions in the past, this was my best guess as to what they might possibly come forward and ask for. They've made no commitment for sure in terms of what that would be. So that's a bit of an unknown at this point, but that's the best number that I could come up with.
okay.
Are you pulling us?
Yeah, how do you feel about that one? Do
Medium
you,
low?
you want to?
I would go with medium on that.
Okay. And again, that's just putting the funds towards, that's not necessarily making our, stating our position on the bike park, okay? How the rest of you feel?
I say hi.
I'd say high, but again, it's very dependent upon how much funding we're gonna have to allocate toward it.
Right.
At 40,000, it goes toward medium, but that isn't,
I
I don't
understand.
think that's what's on the table in the process right now. We don't know what is, so.
Yeah, again, I
that
came
sense,
came
high
with that
because the
number because I
process is
don't
going.
think they would ever be asking for more than that. And again, I don't have any formal request or
Yep. Right.
And I
dollar
think
at
for,
this point.
I think for, it's, obviously, that's a lot of money, but, to anybody, but for, what we will get in turn, the community
Mhm.
and the low maintenance for a new, entirely new facility for that age group. Actually, it's all age groups. There's a lot of adults. I find high for that.
Yeah, I'm personally pretty excited about using it, actually.
See?
Commissioner Ford?
Well, again, I'd be high, but I'd have to know the dollar amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
High with the
You almost have to
concept,
separate the two,
but-
exactly.
No, I'm
but
just
a little
saying.
bit fuzzy
Yeah.
with the amount of
The
money.
the dollars. yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. The courtyard shade,
Already expressed my opinion.
okay?
You want to go, Anna?
Sure. I would say high
Yeah,
Okay.
as well.
Aye.
Pretty much agree
All right,
there.
that one's easy.
That's right up there with the bathrooms, like fixing them.
The computers, we are gonna start putting the sinking fund in, starting this year with that. That's information I just got today. So I think that's really gonna be addressed
You
somewhere
can move it
else.
off to
Okay.
that list. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that seems
So,
like equipment.
enclosure for trash recycling receptacles, we don't have an estimate on that at this point.
And that would probably come out of the whatever
Comes out of
fund that I
recycle.
can't remember.
Yeah, the.
AB 939, that
939.
could be,
Yeah,
That's what Greg said.
before, but,
yeah.
He was researching, so,
but that may be going elsewhere, so.
to the bathroom doors.
So for me, that's low.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I
Everybody,
mean, we
con-
need them, but I
Oh,
think he said
Okay.
he's getting it from somewhere else, so.
exterior lights and shade for the gym. This would be for that outdoor workout area where CrossFit currently is.
CrossFit.
Hi.
Okay?
And the
Hi.
$1,500, that's amazing
I don't hold me to some of these estimates.
Thin
that one.
lights.
I tend to be real cheap, so, you know,
Wow.
Could be.
Yours
it
is
could
a
be
do-it-yourself
10,000.
project.
that's right.
Sophocles
It could
is
be
up there.
10,000, yeah.
Here's the fabric, here's the bolts.
That's right.
Have
Do it.
fun.
I feel
No,
like
I'm
that's
just
what they're
kidding.
doing already. We need to get them.
I
That's
hear
already
ya.
there.
Yeah, there's a lot of needs. Gymnastic needs, we don't really have a dollar amount on that, but I think we can,
Hi, and I say we put a dollar figure in.
I say hi, and we do need
Like
a number.
5 or 10.
five or
can
10,
you ask her
yeah.
to
I
follow
think
up
she
on
said
that?
5, but
I
I
think we get some feedback from,
we need Vicky.
And I think we
from
put it,
Vicky.
I'll get feedback from Vicky,
But
but
I'd
you
like
can
to-
put 5,000
and I'd like to put it
there.
on each year
Yeah.
myself, but,
With the usage,
because I think you are constantly going through equipment.
and
my only concern, sorry to go to touch on that, with putting it on every year is obviously.
They
it's
don't
a
need
bit-
it.
Yeah, or if, participation slows or falls off in that program, and then it's in there. Granted,
But you can always revisit.
you can always adjust it, but that's just a
Yep.
concern.
Okay.
Well, we can't do everything. I heard mostly high priority on that, okay, all right.
I went high on everything, so
The low,
No,
I'm just kidding.
I wasn't interested in
Not
the
on
air
the
conditioning in the
computers.
bathroom, yeah.
Not on air conditioning in the
Not done
bathroom.
yet.
I don't know.
so Lower Libby restroom remodel, again, we got some additional information from Greg tonight, so it sounds
On
like
that.
that's
Yeah.
hopefully in the works. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm assuming that probably lists as a high priority for the commission.
Yeah.
It's not a huge dollar amount, and
It sounded
Pretty
like
big
he
gain.
was looking at a total remodel.
Well,
now.
that's what's on
he's,
here.
right, he's trying to incorporate them,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Outdoor basketball court lights?
Or
When we
with
have our
That might
outdoor
be-
How
basketball.
about outdoor basketball court
court.
with
With
lights?
Oh, I'm sorry.
First.
Yeah.
I kept looking, where's the court on here?
It's an all-in-one.
But I think it's on here.
Oh, wait a
outdoor
minute.
basketball
That's
court
not
with
good.
lights.
I had the same
See,
thing. It's-
we have outdoor basketball court with no lights.
For 12, so 30 is both lights and,
Yeah. But it's already budgeted
but that was
for.
24 for those two.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what did I do
You know
here?
what, you already have
This list, it just says
24,000
the lights.
in 14,
Oh,
15.
but 12,
And then 15.
12 and 14, 15, and 12 and 15, 16 is allocated to the outdoor basketball
So
court.
you get
But it didn't,
$6,000
but it
for
didn't
lights.
include lights.
That's right.
So that's $6,000 for lights?
So the 30 is the court with lights.
No, again, these are
As
pretty,
an estimate.
these
The
are
estimate,
estimates,
yeah.
but no, that was $30,000 for lights.
Okay.
Just for the
I'm
lights.
That
somewhat
makes sense
basing that on the,
after- yeah.
for the skate park. That's where I'm coming from.
LED.
Well, okay. Here's how I feel about Sarzodi.
Okay.
I will defer to the planning process before I feel really strongly. It's in the capital improvement plan now.
The outdoor
The
court,
court.
right, correct.
So my medium on that.
I have
Best
hold for
for the lights
plan.
for
I
now.
just have a couple things that are hold for plan, although I think that would be such a benefit to be able to play basketball at night.
Yeah.
I'm low on that personally.
You're low on the
Lights.
lights or
'Cause the
not
court's
the
already
outdoor
on there.
basketball court? Yeah.
Personally, I'm low on the court and the lights, but that was discussed before I was part of the commission as well.
Yeah, that
so,
was the community brought that to
Right,
us.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and Park and Recs did too.
yeah,
We-
and you
we-
guys did too,
we-
so.
We
Right.
feel it's a
I understand.
somewhat vital
Mhm.
part of
But it's
youth
okay if
basketball
you're low.
program.
I'm good with
Yeah.
that.
So, I just have hold for
I know, right?
plan. Although I
Okay,
think it's
made a note of that.
important, but I think that,
Okay.
there's several things on here that we need to see what happens with the master plan
Understood.
before we commit to.
Definitely.
Yep, there may be no basketball court, there may be 5, I mean, we'll see.
We may be building it in your backyard. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
thanks.
Again, outdoor chess, a bit of a stab in the dark there in terms of the cost. That may be a little bit low, but the idea there is to have some type of an in-ground chess board. That's not not small. The larger scale, and then to order the chess pieces that we could check out and make available at the office to folks that want to come out there and use it, or they could set their kids up and have them go through it. No, just kidding. So just put that on the list because it was mentioned previously. How do you feel about that?
I'm low to medium on that.
I'm
I
below
think-
low.
I think there's
That's
just
me.
other needs, but
Mine, and I would say low because I will defer to the plan. And if that came up really high, I,
Got it. Okay,
I have hold for plan and low. So,
okay.
I mean, like
That's
you said,
clear.
Could be super important later, but right now.
agreed.
Now, the park master plans, that's really getting to addressing the Libby Park, and I also think.
the whole system.
Right, the whole system.
I'm high on that one.
I'm high on that one.
I'm not, but
I'm high on that one as
be
if,
overruled.
well, I'm high on that one if we could put that out for, 3 years and budget for us.
Definitely.
You know what I
Not-
mean?
Not next year.
Let's get
Okay.
Sarasota, let's get some
See
things
how-
done within
See how
Sarasota
Libby
and then go.
unfolds as well. Yeah, I
Okay.
Get Libby
agree, but
Park
I-
and, but I.
But it's
All
a
right.
priority.
I feel that's always been a priority of the
Okay.
Recreation Commission to
Okay.
have a master plan.
Okay.
for all parks.
All right.
I think
So here's a real wild card. We got the pool with no estimated costs as requested.
I'm high on that one just because I like the idea of a pool. But to be honest, I think that goes with the park master plan. Overall, I think you look at the whole
The
city.
long-term goal.
Exactly, yeah. So
And-
not anytime soon as well, but I think it's needed. But I think you do need to look at the whole city.
Okay, so if what I'm hearing there, recommendation would be if we go forward with the park master plan, that would be the time to really dig into do
Definitely.
the analysis on a
I
community
totally
swimming
agree.
pool.
I
Okay?
think the pool's very much a high, but when I started also looking into what other, like Ventura County's doing, that's a minimum $1 million budget maintenance per year.
It's the
The maintenance
maintenance.
is what gets you.
Yeah.
can't-
And which they're
yeah.
working on that, and they're also working with the school district with funding, but I think that there's a huge community group that I know of here in Ojai that would love to see that happen, as well as everybody else that just lives here and would participate and use it. So I would like to see that as a long-term plan and have it on the plan, because I feel like if we don't have certain things on here, it just,
Well, and this may be one of these things down the road where maybe there can be a way to stretch your dollars. I know from my experience in Fillmore, they got to the point where the high school, that pool fell into disrepair. And so when they rebuilt that pool, they did it as a joint city-school project. Unfortunately, they've had issues too with trying to make their budget meet on that. But,
And the current pool at Nordoff
instead of trying to have two
was a community
pools.
pool.
That was a joint project.
Oh, okay.
It was, absolutely.
Originally.
That one was about to go under, how long ago was that? And the city came in and helped with that, so
10 years ago, maybe?
Even longer than that, I think, it's been ongoing, but,
For quite some time.
yeah,
Well,
so.
But I also,
That's interesting because we had to leave there because the
that-
fees
we
were.
We were
Right.
perplexed then, and I'm still perplexed now.
Was there any type of an agreement or memorandum of understanding, or was it just
There was
shake a hand
disagreement
and hope
as
for the
to
best?
how long the relationship should exist and what the money that made the pool work bought, I guess.
Because not to get off on a tangent, but at some point, and I think the time to do it is as you get into the master planning, and obviously what I'm getting at here is, you pull back to the 30,000 foot level and you
Uh-huh.
start looking at, well, what do you really have for facilities? And, if you've got a basketball court across the street here, why would you build another basketball court across the street here if you can get access to that and make it work out in terms of
What is the
everything,
capacity?
which is always
recreation in the
easy.
complete system, which
Right.
includes schools, because they are also recreation providers. Exactly, and looking at where our capacity
Duplication of
lies,
service.
not just in our own properties, but for the whole community. Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's why the planning is so important.
Sure.
and I think with the water situation, I mean,
Yeah, it's a tough time to break ground for a new pool.
but anyone wants to donate a lot of money, well,
And an ongoing maintenance
Yes.
fund. Okay.
The passenger van, again, I think
Ojai
we're
needs
starting to address that in the sinking fund, but if you want to give us your thoughts on where that is, actually, it's something that we haven't really had a chance to sit down and discuss in too much detail. So I'm not exactly sure how pressing the need is for that.
Well,
yeah, I had questions.
And a lot of it has to do with, for me, I need to see that it, before we go out and spend the big money on a vehicle, how often are we going to use it? And that's some of the discussions we've had is, does it
We
make
have some
sense
new
to?
ones, too.
lease,
just-
rent, buy.
We have one new one,
I think that
2011, but the other two are
I don't, this isn't in my,
96. and-
Okay,
this isn't for me to weigh in on. If you need a van, you need a van, and I don't know. I mean, you tell us.
I would agree. I don't know if it's for us to say yay or
Yeah.
nay.
all right,
That's another one of the staff, I put that in with.
That makes sense.
The maintenance issues.
all right, okay. Quonset hut improvements?
I would defer to staff as well, kind of, but on the flip side, I would put it as,
Part of the plan.
I think we need to, yeah,
I would put it as low for me
I would agree.
personally.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I think when it's finally gonna come up is when it's a safety issue.
Exactly.
I think it's important, but it's part of the whole Sarasota plan. It may not even be there, or it may move, or, you know. I don't want to redo the floors and then
Right.
pick it up.
Okay, next is to refinish the multipurpose room stage.
I said
Is-
low.
I say low as well.
I say low.
This next one, the repainting of the Boyd Center game room and halls, et cetera, it's on the list. We didn't want to take it off the list, but we really feel that would be something that we could probably best accomplish as an exchange of services.
That's an
But
excellent
again,
idea.
so if you're comfortable with kind of,
I like that.
That's a great idea.
it's something we'd like to get done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honest with you, yesterday, one of those type of things.
Yeah.
I think it does need to be done. but I
Yeah,
think
well,
that's a great idea.
I completely acknowledge, but rather than have it on this list, I think we can probably see if we can, and we had a couple of discussions with
baseball.
I guess it was Pony, yeah, so,
We're still in
right.
So,
discussions with.
and is replacing the baseboard something like that too?
Could
yeah.
potentially be part.
I mean, to put on
of
that
it.
list to see if they would rather do one or the other? Or if there's
Yeah, they're
capacity.
equal amount.
It might be nice if you're talking with them to have like, a couple of things that we've
Sure.
identified that are doable projects to see which people are best suited within their,
It'll come
within their
down to.
organization to take
Okay.
on different types of projects.
It'll come down to what the cost is to rent the field compared to what it would cost for our own department, Public Works Department, or some outside organization to come and do that project.
And we'll have to talk too, because if we end up resurfacing the floor in the gym,
Oh, right.
that's probably the time to do the baseboards,
At
Exactly.
the same time, yeah, that would make sense.
I would think. All right, so we've taken care of the baseboards. Let's jump back up to repaving, relining the north parking lot. I think we've already, that's in the, it's in the CIP, so I was happy to find that. So now we're skipped down to replace the Boyd Center multipurpose room curtain.
That's low for me, but
How often do you use it?
If
don't have
you're
it.
asking me, it's pretty low,
Low.
I
Well,
would
then it's
put-
definitely low.
yeah.
Okay?
I'd say low.
especially, and it, I think that estimate is pretty accurate, actually.
I'm sure it is.
Unfortunately.
It's not cheap.
It's a whole pulley.
Yeah, no,
sys-
that-
It's a whole
an
pulley
expensive-
system.
Yeah, that was not a pie in the sky number. That was actually a quote. It's a
No,
couple
that's
years
pretty-
old.
That's
but-
pretty-
believe it.
Yeah, that's an old quote, but yeah, if we had a strong theater program there and we were using that stage often, then I'd say.
We got a screen.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
That-
We use that a lot.
Awesome.
I'm just
Yeah, we
kidding.
use that.
Okay, next would be to replace the carpeting in the game room and gym office, which probably is not a good exchange of services.
No, wouldn't think so.
No, and I'm sort of medium on that.
I defer to staff on that one.
Yeah.
That goes in that category of there's a,
Medium to low, but
Yeah,
you guys know better.
just because
Okay.
of the amount of use in there, it's like,
Yeah, at some point, it's just, you gotta do
you
it.
get- yeah.
but that's definitely defer to you guys. for that.
Okay, and the next one would be the replacing of the multipurpose room floor.
Oh, is it in need?
Did we-
Multipurpose room is the classroom.
Yeah, it's the classroom. It is one of the most.
Not the art
often
room.
used-
Not the art room?
Right,
Yeah,
no,
it
the art
is.
room.
Gym.
The old
The old-
gym.
The
right?
old
What I would
gym.
refer to it as. Okay, so the old
Yes.
gym.
Right,
Correct.
play
I
basketball.
was just trying to clarify, was the little room or the big room?
No, it's the big
It's
room.
The
big
old
room.
gym.
Much like the gym floor, it gets a lot of use, and if it was me, I'd say it was a high priority. If you're deferring to staff, that
Well,
would
we
be-
weren't, but that's okay. I'm just teasing. Sorry, Mr. Katzis.
I don't remember, I mean, the
Uh,
last time I was
well,
in there, I
maybe
don't
I'll put
remember
it.
it being
Maybe I'll
so
put it
bad.
at medium. High is a little extreme. I'll put it at medium.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of.
What's wrong with it?
In the center of the floor, it's actually the lipping up, it's just linoleum. I
was trying to remember what it was.
Linoleum.
Okay,
It
yeah.
is,
It's not the old wood anymore.
a rolled out linoleum
Okay.
floor. It's served many
Yeah,
good
long time.
years, a
Was that a
long time,
safety
but
issue?
it does have not quite yet,
But
but
we
in
don't
the
want it to
center
be.
of it is lipping up. There's a little bit of a ridge starting in, I don't know, like 5 foot long, about 5 feet long, but it's not excessive. It's not a trip hazard in any way.
Is that a pretty good
It's
estimate,
but
or do we?
on the
That was from a
floor.
couple of years ago, so it's fairly accurate.
Okay.
Probably at another
Yeah.
10, 15%
I
now.
think that
Of course,
you-
it depends
you
on the
know, I just-
materials that you're going to use too. Do you want, a dance floor? I forget what the material they use for an actual dance floor too, because, we're offering ballet.
Now that we'll have dances in
and
there?
No, but we do offer ballet. You saw Kung Fu. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some, a real aficionado of how it affects your body on
Mm-hmm.
the floor type you're on. It does make a difference. So I can't think of the name of I call it a dance floor, but it's just
Got
the
some
type of
spring to it
floor
and a
that
little
has
more
spring
absorption.
to it. It's a
Mhm.
little more, it's easier on the joints.
I leave that up to
So-
staff.
Yeah,
because
staff, that's where I go with that too.
You can.
I'm gonna lump that one in with the next one, actually, with the gym floor.
Mm-hmm.
As kind of a thing, if you're gonna redo the floors, let's redo the floors,
Ah.
all around. And I do agree, though, you wanna do it before it becomes a safety issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't want it, you gotta, you need to take care of what you have.
Well, let us take a look at that and see if we can come up with kind of what we think when that's going to fall, how much life that has left, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
There probably is some industry standard, and find out what that is.
Okay.
Are we good to go on to the Surzati ball field?
Yes.
Okay.
That's high for me as well. Having been playing out there
Yeah,
recently as well, I play softball on Monday nights as well, and
right.
yeah, it.
I can hear you
It's
guys from my
necessary.
house. No, I'm
And,
just
yeah,
kidding.
it's probably me.
Just kidding.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any better.
Exactly.
Do we foresee any changes in the ball fields with the Sarasota plan? Or,
That was one of my
Just
questions,
curious,
actually,
'cause
after
I-
reviewing it, is, it talks about the configuration and maximizing the space, and that could be obviously something that's discussed.
So it's a high priority, but
But definitely.
High, but
Yeah,
wait
for
for
the ball.
planning.
I agree.
Okay.
High but defer to whatever.
Okay.
and is
Where
that
we
a
end up.
possibility for exchange of services for part of that?
Maybe,
lot about
maybe
this,
some of
that's my
the,
question.
there's some fairly technical thing involved in terms of
Moving
the
the dirt.
leveling. Yeah, but I'm sure there's some, yeah,
So we could
sure
just
some of the
note that
labor
as a
portion.
way to, yeah,
Right.
maybe
Right.
offset some costs.
that's correct.
You get 150 kids out there moving some dirt.
Right. Okay, we've talked a little bit about this, but Sarzati playground replacement and surfacing, et cetera. Basically redoing that area.
That's low for me.
That's very high for me.
I just wanted to see your face.
Oh, okay. I was trying to write,
Very after that.
He'll be
I would
sitting
agree,
over
it's
there
high.
next time.
April Fools was yesterday.
I'll sit on the other side of the room.
Okay, so we have two highs and,
I have high, but also hold for plan. I mean,
Right.
just because of what we're doing. And
We won't
our
say
mind
where,
move.
but we know we need
Yes,
one.
we do need one.
It's definitely
It's
needed.
very-
you're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Scooter park.
That's
And I admit, I really took a stab at this. Greg and I were trying to find some time to develop this a little bit further, but we just ran out of time.
That's low for me.
It's
But this-
medium for me.
Again, this was something that was brought up before I was on the commission, but my take on it is, I know they're not allowed at the skate park. but
Correct.
Is there enough of a contingent to really warrant its own facility? I'm not sure.
And so
Part-
that's a question, hopefully we can address in the.
Exactly.
In the master.
Sure.
Getting
Yeah, and the
closer to that,
plan.
maybe, but
What I was
low on my priority list.
understand. What I was maybe thinking is maybe there was a way to, and again, I'm just talking from the cuff here, but certainly I understand there, we could have a full-blown scooter park, but we could also maybe have something where it's a little bit smaller in scale, with a lot of cases, I'm thinking it'd be really nice for the parent to come to the park, and they may have one child who wants to be on the playground, or one child's in a class or something like that, and the other kid just wants to pull around on their scooter. So maybe there's a way to create a network of paths and kind of utilize that. I know maybe some potential conflict there, and maybe a little area with a couple of bumps and whoop-de-doos or something like that. Obviously, we'd have to get somebody who could come in and design that, who knows what they're doing. So there may be some different ways to scale that going forward, but I'm hearing kind of low to medium.
Yeah, I know, it's like a hold for plan. and
Yeah.
Whereas maybe there's a portion of the playground area that's not with the same kids running around the playground, but maybe that's
Yeah.
part of that. And then also, I think there is a need because there were so many children that ride scooters and needed a place that was safe. That was what we were hearing from the parents because, they do on the sidewalk and the
Right.
street, but just having a spot. And then another option is a sort of a modular, something that just pretend you had a concrete surface that you brought stuff out, sort of like maybe there's a time frame for usage.
That you could
and then
provide it in that area.
And then it goes out. Obviously, it's always better to have like something
Yeah, I think
concrete that
they
lasts.
talked
but-
about that before, just.
But maybe it's equipment versus an area. So I'm
Okay.
just different ways. But I think when I see some of the other things on here, yeah, that's a hard one. I think that there are a lot of kids that love riding scooters, and it would be nice for them to have a place to go. I think we'll have to see what's on the plan. I think that'll really.
Okay. Another one, bit of the solar system here. Again, that's a bit of a moving target to nail down what that might be and what that cost is. But, and certainly if we were to pursue something like that, we would probably be trying to go out and see if we could leverage some additional monies. But it's come up a couple times in the past, and obviously there's a way, if you could make obviously the big challenge there is to make that initial investment, but it does pay off over the 25-year life of the project.
And isn't there funding? Is there state funding or anything?
We have not, and it's been a while since we've checked, but I don't think anything's changed. There's actually no funding or incentives that we've been able to find for local governments. It's pretty much been directed to residential and commercial,
And you're
which seems odd to me.
And that would go on. I'm totally going
The
through
gym.
the weeds right now, but
Yeah, this would be a system installed on the gym
Can
roof.
hold the roof capacity for
Uh-huh.
something like
Yeah,
that.
this actually came, we actually did have some folks that came out and gave us a very preliminary
Saw that
look and
proposal that
proposal
went
on
through
it.
all that.
Yeah,
Right,
there's
that's
been an
what this comes from.
I think that I would love to see this with the solar system. I think that would be amazing. I just I find it hard to believe that there's no state wouldn't help with that.
I'm kind of medium on it.
But I guess
I
you
would
get your
need
money
to know
back.
the ROI on it, but it sounds like a good
Yeah.
idea.
But how much are we spending?
It's 160s with sleep. Oh, you
No,
mean
I
the
know.
cost for? I
Cost
would
per year. I'm curious.
I would say for me, this is low, and I see it more as, instead of us as one department taking it on, I would like to see a citywide look at the idea of solar for the city.
Would that be part of the master plan then? Like-
Well, I just think that if you're gonna do solar, we're picking this gem and saying, here, is this, as the whole city, is this the best spot for it? Does this make the most sense? Just a broader look, not just a blip on our CIP.
Is there any other
That's
city
my
facilities
perspective.
and buildings that are solar panel?
No,
Solar?
no.
So,
Not that I'm aware of.
And I'm also always curious about all the schools and their parking with the solar. A lot of them have done it, and I'm curious,
Oh, in their
the
parking
parking
lots.
with the
yeah.
schools, and there must be some money out there for some of that stuff, because I kind of doubt they all did it at the same time, just because it was a good idea. I think that there was something out there, and I would just be curious, and
But
I understand
they
that
invested
government is
a lot
different
of money,
than.
though. They're of their own money, those schools.
That must have been
But,
part
I
of a
mean, it was
bond.
millions.
Well, I
know
understand,
it-
but there was a similar period of time where a lot of that stuff was
I
going
think
in.
Oxnard was doing, and I'm not sure if Oxnard Unify maybe entered into an agreement with one of the
Be
vendors to do
interesting
it.
to contact some of them, just from my perspective, out of curiosity, to know what their process was and how they got started and why, and
Okay.
if there is a financial reason that they went with that.
Okay.
That's just a that is literally just a curiosity on my part from watching all of them come out of, you know.
It makes sense.
I would say it sounds like it's something that there's some interest in there, but we would need to do a little bit more research on it. So I'd say that maybe we keep it on the list for now.
Yes, I would definitely.
And try to do a little bit more research as we're able to have time to
We need
do.
more info.
Okay.
I would keep it on the list, though.
All right. And then, well, not last, because we had skate park lights at the bottom of this, but water element, and again, you've got my hose and a floor drain estimate of $5,000, and you've got the nice water cave
Full estimate.
proposal, which is probably at the high end of
This is for
39,000.
5, a hose.
That's what we said.
Yeah, that's what I said,
drain.
yeah. Floor drain and,
For circulating water.
and one of those, rotating sprinklers, yeah.
I think a water element would, I mean, we need that. But with the water issue and also, the only way you could do that with water that continually flows back, but can you
Yeah, that
even
was
do
part
that
of
for
this
health
stuff.
and safety?
It's a
Yeah, you can.
recirculating
You
system.
It's a recirculation
Yeah.
system. I think all of them that you see around
They
are
probably
using
all have to be
recirculating
now,
systems.
yeah.
I don't think you
I-
can put in a,
Okay, because I was like,
yeah. no.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would do
It's
that.
actually a high for me.
I agree, it's a high. It's, for me, the pool was high, and this is like a nice interim, solution.
Okay.
But some of the people I've been talking to have actually asked about putting in some sort of water element when we do the Libby community build.
And that's what I was just gonna say, that,
Integrating those two together.
right.
that would
Because if
be
we're doing a community
amazing.
build, we might have more money, because we're saving on some of the labor, maybe we integrate it there.
Oh, no, but still, we like the idea.
Exactly. And a lot of people, when this heat wave, when summer hit, obviously, a couple weeks ago, Facebook was blowing up about people, where can I take my kid to go swimming or get wet in Ojai?
You can
Maybe
put your
this is
sprinkler in your backyard. Yeah.
But we can all go to Steve's house.
That's right, yeah.
Because he has a
But-
$5,000 water element.
Yeah.
I
But
can't-
apparently,
I built it
I think it
myself.
might be a nice, feature before we get a pool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would be curious though to find out, I think it's high, but the one that's down in Ventura next to the promenade isn't
Right.
working and it's all
Right.
funky and then and I don't know if that's a decision the city make or it broke down at some point and then the one at the mall. I'm just kind of,
I sent, a while back, I sent you a link to that one in Agora Hills, which we're actually going to go to this
Oh,
summer
yeah.
with the summer
Oh, cool.
kids. It's a really nice splash pad.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, I'll write myself a note to call them and find out what they paid, because
Okay.
it is really nice.
Worth more investment.
yes, exactly. I think.
Okay.
High on my list, though.
Well, and it'd be something we should probably talk about at some point when we look at the Sarzati master plan, that maybe some of the consultant really says, hey, yeah, you really should cite it in Libby or someplace else, or maybe they'll surprise us and say,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
Sarzati's the place to be, and
Or maybe
here's
when
where
we
you can put
work
it.
on Libby, it'll be in that.
Yeah, right.
Once that fundraising really gets going.
Exactly.
Okay. So the next one I have on, which is we added, is skate park lights. Do you have any more information on that, Cindy? I think you've had a
I
couple of
don't.
conversations
You
with
know,
them.
it's sort of a long conversation, long time ago. I believe it was $60,000 that it would cost, so.
Yeah,
That's
60,
not like
70,
I
right,
don't have anything in writing, that was just an estimate,
right.
so a
I
guesstimate.
thought that was
That's
pretty
right.
close, because we
Yeah,
got the
60 was
presentation,
right.
and it
Yeah,
was,
is
I
that
think
about
they
right?
did their
Yeah, it
math
is
on
right.
that.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember what it was, off the
That's
top,
it.
but,
That's about what it was.
Yeah.
So
Thought it was
I mean, for me,
so
it's
we could put it at 60, if you
so
want to
for
put a
me,
number there.
it's, again, it's a facility that's existing, that's successful, that we'd get more use out of, and
I thought they had
Kids.
funding identified for that.
no.
Not all of it. They had some
Not
of it.
all.
Now I don't know what they have.
I thought they had it all, and then it went away when the controversy hit on whether it was gonna go up or not, or whether it was gonna be approved.
Do you think?
That's,
It's not, right.
Yeah, so it's approved, so.
yeah, but it
The
was.
plans are approved.
Yeah.
Plans are approved.
No funding has been approved.
Yeah.
Plans are approved.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So,
Um,
but you know how, I don't know what you guys.
I think it's a high priority. I'd like to see it happen. I think it is a great way to add a lot of capacity and at time, and at night, which we have tennis at night, but really, and we have the fields at night. It'd be nice to have another activity in the evening. But I am not advocating for the full cost of the budget.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I'd
think
like
we were
to
talking
participate in the participate in the
Yeah, with
funding.
that.
Just
I'd
like
be
we were
hard
the
with
bike park.
sharing cost.
Yeah, same, similar.
Yeah.
with
And in the
park.
sense of putting it on there and putting some money out there as an effort to help maybe move it along.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I think to ask the community to fundraise again for the fundraising they already did to build it, I think it would be helpful
it's
if there was funds to
Oh,
it as
sure,
well.
some
Because-
seed.
I think it'd be nice if the city were a partner in it.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly. Just
because-
like the other things we've.
Because when you talk about those Sarasota lights, there is some cost recovery there, and I know we will I know we'll do that too for skate park lights. We talked about
Yeah,
it
once
being
they're-
potentially coin operated, so there will be some cost recovery there.
Yeah.
And as far as the lights on the tennis courts too, the OVTC, the Ojai Valley Tennis Club, puts a lot of money into those. I think they paid for those new lights to go in.
And
I
think,
believe, so.
if I remember correctly, the lights, they're LED and.
Oh, yeah.
and
Yes.
Actually, we figured out it would be $250 a year
year.
to pay for them.
So our goal was to
So
not
to-
charge, and we were really clear calling out to hopefully in those specs.
Fundraise
They made it so you
$250.
could be coin operated or not coin operated, because if the cost is that, I mean, I think we could stand out there and just gather enough money for the year's fees.
I don't know. So they're very efficient.
Yeah.
So there's an initial cost.
But I guess from the CIP perspective, I'd like it, I think it's a high priority for me.
Uh-huh.
And it's participating as a partner, not as
Okay.
the,
So,
we need to put a dollar figure on it.
yeah, so are you thinking like 20, 30, something like that, or what you'd like to recommend? What you would be comfortable supporting?
I would say like a third. Would be
Okay.
my, like, comfort level.
So,
But I would say that same amount, like a third or something like that, when it comes to the bike pump track and all of that stuff. I think I agree it's important to be a partner, but the skate park lights, and the bike pump track, I'm medium if we're talking 40 and 60 grand.
Got it. Okay. Any other comments?
He's our spokesman.
All right.
It was good.
Okay. So my plan is now to take this and categorize it in terms of how you prioritized it, and then we will take that forward to council when they take a look at the capital improvement plan. And what I can even do is I can actually, what I'd like to do is I'll try to take these and probably if I just take the high priority ones, a little bit of a moving target right now because I know we're gonna have to kind of wait. We're wanting to wait and see how we get through the master plan on this, but I can at least take these and try to plug them in based on your priorities for the next few years and kind of see how that might map out and pencil out. But I think at this point, our plan would be, rather than trying to slot every one of these exactly, I think that's probably not worth our time and effort. But if we give this information to the council, pretty much as you presented it tonight, in terms of here's our list, here's our thoughts behind it, here's kind of how we see the priorities falling, here's some things that we see as high, but maybe we need to wait until we do some studying. Are you comfortable with that direction?
Can we see it before you present it to council?
I can do that.
Once you-
So just for clarification, so it's going to be it's not going to be in spreadsheet form, it's going to be in list form?
Yeah, I'm saying
I like
Yeah.
spreadsheet form better. I think it's a lot easier to look at.
I just don't know that I can get all these projects on there.
But the high ones, maybe. Well,
Maybe both.
you're going to have to use discretion.
Yeah.
Because some of them were clearly high on, but we know they're long
Well,
term.
I-
But you heard from us, which
Yeah.
were high but were short term, and which were high that were long term.
Yeah.
It was in the discussion.
Well, actually, and I did say, I will come back with a spread
Okay.
based on this input and kind of based on what it is. And again, just so that we have that, because I agree with you, I think it's good just to have something to look at. And then I can give all this information when we go forward to council. I'll have to double check and see exactly when this discussion is going to hit.
Right.
I just think it'd be nice to see it before you.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'll definitely bring something back at the May meeting.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Oh, okay, well, that was a big item. So I just want to make sure, is there anything that we missed off of there?
No,
I think we got it, okay. I tried to really make sure that I went back through all my lists and catch everything, so.
And I want to make sure that, we have one person here. Did you have anything?
I'm learning, I'm making notes. from
Okay.
the liaison.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure we
Okay.
open it up to,
Thank you.
okay, so we'll move on to number 9, recreation staff reports. Sophocles, did you want to start?
I guess we'll start with the open house. So we met with our committee, but we all know when that date is, right? Saturday, May 16th, from 11 to 2 at Sarasota Park. Open house. So hopefully you'll all be in attendance. Commissioner Ford has already stated that he
And food?
is available for most, will be there for most of it.
A little late, but
Yeah, a little late, but that's fine. And
You did a great job last time.
Commissioner Rylander and Intner,
We will be there.
under the impression that you'll be in attendance, and Commissioner Dutter, yes?
Definitely.
Awesome, great. So again, that's 11 to 2. We talked about assignments, if you will. So one of the suggestions in that meeting was to get each commissioner to bring at least 2 raffle items for the event. So that's sort of your homework, if you could do that. Last year,
So we can, you
Commissioner
can
and
solicit on
Rylander.
behalf of the recreation
on
department.
on behalf of the recreation department, so
Or
maybe,
bring something that you already have.
or
that's a gift
something you
certificate,
already have. Just 2. We're saying at least 2 items.
If you can.
To
raffle.
if you can, do the best
For
you
the
can
raffle.
for our raffle.
Or more, if you feel.
Yeah, I just said, I had posted something about that, and Lisa and Rob Tucker from Jim and Rob's
Nice, just gave you some.
immediately were like, we love
Yep.
to donate
Lovely.
from Jim and Rob, so
Great.
some gift certificates. That was
Yeah.
good.
So
And
nice.
then we'll probably give each of you an assigned area for about 45 minutes, rotating each commissioner at the welcome table, because that seemed to be where everyone started. We've got these wonderful these little frisbees you have are going to be one of the handouts we're going to give. We also have reusable shopping bags we'll be giving out. We've got some custom recreation helium balloons we'll be passing out. We purchased that helium tank a little while ago for Ojai Day, and so each event that we go to for marketing will have that little helium tank and balloons we'll be giving out. There was a big hit actually at Ojai Day. Robert isn't, Commissioner Roddick isn't here tonight, but there was talk about doing a barbecue. Staff is recommending just putting it back to pizza. It was simpler, easier, and just less hassle, I would say. So.
Fine.
You guys know.
Although he's not,
Organizing it.
although he's not here tonight, and if he comes to the rec department, and makes a strong appeal to insist on barbecuing, I guess we'll let him have at it. But I would recommend just keeping it simple and doing pizza and
Sounds good.
drinks like we did
I
yesterday.
think it worked
Or
nicely.
Since
last year.
Robert's not here, we can assign him something
Yeah,
else.
he'll still be assigned an area.
Yeah.
He can help serve the pizza, but we'll assign each of you, like I said, rotating through at least one time through the welcome table. And then we were going to, I think part of that meeting that we had was to have a commissioner table too, a separate commissioner table, and at that table, possibly do some outreach for the Sarasota master plan. As a matter of fact, that
And the
little
playground.
survey and the playground and the Libby Park playground. And that survey that was in our packet is a great start. I think that was a really nice survey and something we could use during the open house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to be able to talk about the playground and
Master
start getting
planning process.
volunteers and talk about the master plan, so.
And capture information from people who are interested in participating in both of those processes.
So some of the advertising we're doing for the open house, the suggestion was to do a flyer and send it out to all the schools, which we will do.
Great.
Additionally, the summer activity guide that we're going to put out will have a blurb in the right inside cover of the
Inside
front
cover,
page
good.
that invites people to the open house. We're going to put something on Channel 10, inviting people to the open house, and possibly an ad in the OVN, depending on where our placement is in that newspaper. But we're considering, we did an ad in the newspaper last year. We'll probably do it again.
That's good.
Yeah.
Great.
And we're going to make a smaller banner. There's a bit of it. We couldn't get the week of the week before the open house to hang the banner on Ojai Ave. So we're just going to make a smaller banner to hang outside of the rec department. So we'll at least have something.
Sophocles, can you, for the people that are watching,
Yes.
can you talk about what's going to be going on?
Oh gosh, yeah, we've got. Well,
Not the
we'll
nuts
have
and bolts,
great
but get into,
raffle.
like-
We'll have great raffle items, but all of our, well, not every single one of them, but the majority of our instructors will be out there doing some demonstrations, some hands-on play too. Activities will be happening.
For all
we'll have
ages.
all ages, yeah, youth, adults. But we'll have CrossFit out there. We'll have Kung Fu out there, ballet, just the majority of our classes that we offer will have instructors there. There'll be some demonstrations.
Game
We'll have
room.
bounce houses.
Open.
We'll have our obstacle bounce house and just the basic bounce house, free food and drink.
Facilities will be open.
The facilities will be open. Gymnastics will be open for just come in, and gymnastics staff will be there and they can participate and free play. The game room will be open.
And people can sign up for classes if they.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely be taking summer registration. Even at that time, our front office will be open to take summer registration if someone wants to register.
Were you able to arrange for the dunk tank for the council and commission members?
Yeah.
We're working on that, Mr. McClary. That's
He
yeah,
volunteered to
yeah.
go first.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah,
Last
sounds
year
good.
was a huge success. As you know, we're combining
We
it
should put
with
staff
the
instead. We pay someone.
end of season of Five-A-Side.
Five-A-Side, mhm.
And all those folks will just pretty much naturally meander over. I think they're making it part of their end of
That's
season
great.
celebration, especially because the bounce houses will be there.
So it's Saturday, May 16th, and what's the time? 11
11
to 1?
to 2.
2.
11
Okay.
to 2. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
A
lot of fun things packed in that short period of time.
The next one is Libby Park Playground Community Design Build Update. Do you want to give us that?
I think Mr. Grant
That was-
think
mhm.
pretty much filled us in on that, unless you have any questions that I could answer possibly or take back.
So there
But,
may or may not be a facilities meeting before then, before our next meeting.
I haven't gotten that far along.
Okay.
You're right, may or may.
Comment on that?
Yes, please.
I just want to say that I think you've got a real tiger by the tail on this thing. The community design build participation and building it. A lot of people are really interested in participating and helping it come off. People with companies.
Yeah.
Councilman Haney from last meeting says, my company's going to be there. I've been talking about it at a service club. I just think there's a real opportunity here to organize a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
It's really caught the imagination. And I think a couple reasons for that. One is, Ojai is full of the big growth demographic. The only growth demographic in Ojai is 55 to 65. I don't know if you knew that or not. That's grandparent generation. And so that park facility is just dear to the hearts of, old people like me. I just had the grandchild born today. So, this, and I'm just saying that I just think that don't overlook the opportunity to really leverage the money that's available on this project with volunteer time. I think you've got an enormous potential for that on this one.
So exciting.
We're very excited about that. Thank you.
But I'll have to get with Greg on that. We just haven't gone that far along yet.
Okay.
Because I think it would be, if we can, to have one of those before our
Okay.
next parks meeting would be a good idea.
Sounds like a good goal.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you. The next is a March and April program preview.
Sure. Our dodgeball is still going well. We've been a Friday night dodgeball where they can come and pay $3 and have 2 hours of great dodgeball
Every other week,
fun.
right?
It's the first and third Friday of each month. So we've been averaging about 25 kids right
That's
now.
great. That's
coming
great.
to that.
So glad you brought
Yeah.
that back.
Mostly middle school age kids coming. We have as you know, schools will be on spring break next week. And we were offering 2 camps, a science camp and a pottery camp. We didn't get enrollment in the pottery camp, but the science camp will happen. So we're happy about that. And we have a contractor that's been offering that program in the summer and quite successful. There's a lot of great projects in that program. We will be on May 1st, we'll be at Sunset School for their family festival. And of course, we'll be promoting our open house at that festival and all of our summer activities. And our activity guide should be out by that time. We're expecting our activity guide to be out by April 23rd is the target date, the
Will you
summer
have your
activity
flyer
guide.
to pass out there too?
The open
the open
house
house.
flyer,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll definitely have that there, along with several other
Okay.
class promotion that we'll be doing there. And then the weekend before, and I'll probably mention this again in the May meeting, but the NFL Neighborhood for Learning on Saturday, May 9th, is having their festival in Libby Park, and we'll also be represented there and
Great.
doing the same thing, handing out those cool custom helium balloons and our activity guide there. So, and promoting our open house for the following Saturday. So there's definitely a lot of promotion opportunities for our open house at those 2 events. We opened an Instagram account. So if you
Watch
are
out.
tech savvy and you're,
Start hashtagging Ojai.
yeah, you just hashtag Ojai Rec and follow us on Instagram and
Good.
yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Credit goes to, once again, our tech girl, Allison.
Nice.
She
Nice.
pushed for the Instagram account, and so there we
Does
are.
City council have it?
Yeah, let me see if there's anything else. So I mentioned,
Ojai City Hall.
can I just jump into the marketing summer team program then? So as I mentioned, the activity guide is coming out, and I brought, you'll see on
Flyer.
your desk. This is, I just pulled the one page that'll be in the activity guide for the team programs. So this ad.
Teen dance?
Yeah, teen dances and a movie night. This ad will also be going in the Ranger. That's Nordhoff's.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we purchased a 1/4-page ad in their newsletter that they publish, and I actually went on their website, and it's you can go onto their the Nordhoff High School website and see their newsletter. It's a monthly newsletter that they put out, and it's really actually well done.
Did you talk to Villanova about this at all as well?
We haven't yet. Are you suggesting,
I would just
like
reach out to
you're
all the
saying,
schools.
reach out to all?
Definitely. I know for instance, at our church, the youth program is almost half of it is from Villanova now as well.
So, yeah, we
It's
could
kind of a-
go and see if they'd
I'd reach
let
out to all
us
the private
get
publics.
into maybe their daily bulletin, announce it in their daily bulletin. I'm not sure if they'd let us hand out a bunch of flyers, but we
We
can
could
inquire.
post them at the school. Maybe there's a
Maybe they'll
bulletin
let
board or.
us, there's a community board at their school that they'd let us post on, but
This is great. I'm so glad
Yeah.
you brought this back. I think another
Yeah.
thing for the teenagers
Yeah.
to do on a.
yes,
Right.
and staff is going to reach out to some community groups to volunteer to help provide staffing and
Supervision.
support during those dances.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool. Good job.
So I just wanted to say to the commission, we do hear these things. Sometimes it takes some time before we can kind of work it in and figure it out and get all the pieces together, but we are listening to you and we
No,
are
honestly, I
trying.
feel like there's so many things that we've requested, and a lot of them are things that a lot of the older participants that used to go to the rec center have wanted to see come back for their children, and you guys have pretty much done them all, from opening the game room in the afternoon to dodgeball to dances to, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. So.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
great.
So thank you.
Sure.
And
You're welcome.
It seems
Well,
like they've been
it'll-
successful.
It's
too,
great.
so.
Yeah, thanks. So it'll be on the postcard too. We're gonna,
Okay.
I wanted to bring you a sample of that postcard, but I can wait till the next Park and Rec Commission meeting because that postcard it'll have gone out already, but I can bring it in, but it'll have it'll be advertising the teen dances on that
And you were talking about
postcard as
Nordoff,
well.
but what about Matilah?
Yeah, same, I can bring
Because
flyers.
they have a lovely
flyers
weekly
there.
update letter too. If you do
Yeah.
it toward the end of the year
Oh.
before school's out, it might be a
Yeah.
good time to put it in
Okay.
there.
Anyone within that
Weekly
age
update.
range, I think, is.
They have their own newsletter there too.
The principal does a letter home that's really wonderful each week summarizing what's going on. And so maybe if you did it at the end of the school year and put it in there then.
And if
Okay.
you
Now it might get a little early.
Yeah.
if you had Allison create this, like we were talking about, in a square format.
That one was actually Caitlin, but
Okay,
anyway.
Caitlin. If you create it in a square format, then you can use social media, because then they can post this and tag it and share it. Do you know what I mean? Then you just, that's how that viral.
Not really, but sure, they will.
But
They
Caitlin will and Allison will.
They will understand me. The young
Yes, tell
ones
me.
will understand me.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna make them watch this
mean-
portion of the meeting and
Okay.
they will
They'll know
they
what
will
I'm
do
saying.
just what you said
Have a
and they'll know what you're
hashtag.
saying.
I think you should
Square
Instagram
form-
them a picture of it.
Yeah, square
I'm-
format.
I'm gonna need to get tutorial. I'm pretty good on Facebook, but I will need to get tutorial on Instagram from my children, and they'll help me out with Instagram.
That's good.
Yeah.
It'll be great. It'll
And,
spread. You won't even need to print a piece of paper or talk about it.
So you're saying this group, you could move away from
This-
paper and move
With
to
this
social
group,
media?
Yes.
you can go social media
Fair
on.
enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
It's nice for the parents to know, though, because they, and, you know, and actually, I'm gonna say that piece of paper might not ever be seen at home.
Right.
I would
So-
say social media.
Well, we're
It'll go in the backpack
well,
and then
well,
somewhere.
and we will.
Yeah.
I'm sure both Caitlin and Allison are already on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's as we speak even. Let me see if I missed anything.
Bike park and.
That's just.
Gymnastics. Oh, I do want to mention the Michelle Palza, Katie Edwards
Oh, yeah.
exhibition, the gymnastics exhibition. That'll be Friday, April 24th. So coming up soon. The doors open at 6 p.m. The program begins at 7 p.m. It's $5 at the door. So big event. It's typically standing room only. It's the one opportunity of the year where every gymnast can kind of go out there and perform. The 220 odd participants in that program. It's really exciting for them. Of course, it's jam-packed. The gym is packed with parents and friends and family. So
Are you gonna
we hope,
televise it
as
or
commission, we are going.
We are going to tape it
We are going
and
to
And then
rebroadcast
Oh,
it,
perfect.
right.
and then yes, just what
We
Mr. McClary
pretty
said.
much concur that that was the best way to do it,
I think it's what used to
rather
be.
than trying to
That's
drag a camera person around and
Yeah.
figure out in the middle where you go and how to do it.
I don't think it was
So-
ever live. I think that's what they did
Yeah.
before. I think they rebroadcast it.
I'm not sure
I think that's
if
great.
it was ever live, but
Yeah, it's,
We-
I think it'll make much better viewing
Yeah.
with the little post-production.
yeah, some editing and
No, that's
then
good.
eventually on Channel 10. So I think that's all I had on updates. But yeah, for sure, gymnastics. Hope you, as commissioners too, can come out. It's a couple hours.
That's great.
And you can talk about the bike park too, because you've been working on getting that meeting set up.
Yeah, I've made attempts. Well, the first group we were trying to meet with is the Ojai Valley Tennis Club, hoping to meet next week to discuss, just that location of
You're
the
reaching out to
lower,
the stakeholders.
all
in
the
that area.
stakeholders, the neighboring homes.
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the other groups that
Music
were-
Festival,
the
Libby
Music
Bowl
Festival.
Foundation,
And who's meeting with him? You're meeting with him?
staff,
Yeah,
and the bike
staff.
park representatives.
Okay, so it's a meeting between, okay, got it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
And is that something you normally do with any park that you build?
I would say so. I would, yeah.
No, it's cool.
Yeah, no different, I would say, than, especially the amount of parking spaces that park is, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 36 spaces it'll
Would
be
be lost, right.
taking up. And actually,
seen
come,
anyone.
you know, we thought initially that they would just lay the dirt over those spaces, but actually they're gonna have to tear up
The asphalt.
the asphalt, yeah.
Or the
So,
dirt won't stay, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So, Ojai Valley Tennis Club will be the first organization that we meet with, and again,
That's
it's,
great.
it's been tricky trying to coordinate with, of course, all the parties, as sometimes it happens, but hopefully that meeting will happen next week.
Okay.
The first
But we're
of-
ready to
that's
go.
The first
We're
of a
just-
series.
We're just
of
waiting for
meetings.
everybody to line up.
And you have a design, do you have a design? I know they were working
They,
on that.
they do, yeah, and
Okay.
that's what we're planning to present.
Okay.
They do have a design.
And what's the name of the group that's trying to
See-
do this?
I believe they're called the Ojai Bike Coalition.
They are.
That's
I think that's correct, yeah.
official
And they have a
title.
website
Right.
and Instagram and Facebook, so you can follow them.
Oh, so they have all social media?
Yeah, they're all,
Oh, see,
they're,
piece of cake.
There you go.
they're on it.
Yeah. And again, I think they're partially responsible for the major reduction in the bikes that are in the skate park.
Oh,
They've
yeah,
been
they
very-
completely are.
The cyclists have been very respectful of the park. I, of course, drive by that park the skate park several times a day, and I seldom see bicycles in there, almost never.
I don't
now.
see
Yeah,
them in there at all.
kind of curious
Yeah.
to see what next week brings, so we're
Yeah.
gonna kind
Well,
of keep
now
an
that
eye
we're
on
on
it next
spring
week.
break, maybe I've spoke
But
too
you know,
soon,
we've
but-
had a couple of vacations, and I haven't even seen scooters in there.
I agree.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's been a
No
remarkable
scooters
change.
either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I do think that I know they have, they are not going into the bike park.
Yeah.
I mean, skate park. They
Right.
want a bike park, and they're working really hard on getting that, so.
They are. The
and
Bike
kids are-
Coalition has
the-
really made a strong
Yeah.
appeal to their participants and constituents to stay out of the skate park.
What was the town that just put one in? There was an article in the Star.
Fillmore just did.
Fillmore was-
Fillmore just did, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been speaking with the rec person over there, and that was,
When did it open?
just open a weekend or a week
Okay,
or
so
two
it's
ago.
Just open, okay.
The big advantage that they had over us is they have a lot of playing fields that are away from anybody or anything, and so they were able to put them out there with, really without having to give it too much thought, so. But it was
part of
a,
their master plan.
yeah,
for
it
that
was,
whole park system.
yeah, but it was, yeah, it was something that I think came up fairly recent in terms of them being approached, kind of like this one, and it was really a community volunteer effort, so, I'm certainly staying in contact with my counterpart over there in Fillmore, and so far, they said it's been working out really well. So we'll continue to tap their experiences so that we can learn from that as we hopefully go forward with this. But it's nice to see that, I think it helps validate the need for it,
Right.
and that this is a growing movement, so.
Yeah, they're all over the country. They're everywhere.
Okay, good.
I don't have anything further, so.
Okay, and then so we'll move on to 10, commissioner reports and comments.
I had just a couple things before we moved
Oh, I'm
off the
sorry.
staff reports. That's okay.
Sorry, I'm moving on.
Well, I didn't have it on there. So I just wanted to, I always think of our former mayor, Carlin Strobel, who really ingrained in us to let the commissions know about upcoming agenda items. So I always think of our ex-mayor Strobel when I go through this list. So thank you, Mayor Strobel. Just some items coming up to city council that may be of interest to the commission. As Mr. Grant noted, they're going to talk about the water-saving measures at the April 14th meeting. We're also going to have a report on Libby Bowl, and we'll be hearing a report from the Libby Bowl Foundation at that meeting, and possibly discussing some options for the futures on that. That's April 14th. I don't see anything that leaps to the top for April 28th. At some point, Well, at our May meeting, we'd like to put on, city managers asked if we could have a discussion about the recreation facility and service fees. I don't know if you've been following, but we've been trying to go through the city's fee schedule section by section to update that and provide the analysis to the council in terms of what it actually costs to deliver those services and what we're currently charging and what other entities are charging. So that will be coming to this commission first to get your input before it goes to city council. I don't have a date yet on when it will go to council, but the goal is to put that before you at your May meeting. And beyond that, the only other thing that really jumps out, as we don't have the agendas after that aren't too fleshed out, but just to put it on your calendar, remind you that the joint annual meeting with the Parks and Recreation Commission and the City Council is scheduled for August 11th. Now, that is a Tuesday night because we do those preceding the City Council meetings. So that would be a fixed time, Tuesday, August 11th, from 6 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
So that is where that is currently slated. And since we're talking about it, well, no, I can wait until future agenda items, so that time. I will wait. That's all I have, thank you.
Then we'll move on to number 10, commissioner reports and comments.
We had more facilities meetings, but you guys have already heard all about that. And we had our meeting for the open house. And I think the only thing to reiterate is that the schedule, you'll get us the schedule at our next PRC meeting.
For
Commissioner's job, what we're slated to do at the event.
For the open house.
For the open house, we'll all get our open house.
We'll have it so laid out,
Each of us will get our duties.
Yes.
But we had that meeting, and that was productive, and it was nice of staff to let us participate.
I just want to thank Sage has been in more meetings than anyone this month. I was waiting for her at 1. She's running to come to it, so thank you. It's a lot of extra time out of your personal time.
All kinds of fun stuff is going on. We're making lots of progress.
I don't have anything other than working on the open house with you guys, so anything?
Ojai tennis tournament, Wednesday, April 22nd to Sunday, the 26th. It probably won't be a conflict with the people that are coming to the gymnastics thing, but Friday night's the night with Stan Smith.
Oh.
The famous USC player that won the Ojai twice when he was at SC.
Oh, cool.
And then went pro. And
When's that?
Well,
event?
they're doing a kind of a cocktail hour. It's at the Ojai Vineyard tasting room that night. But it's pretty high end. It's like $75 a person, and I don't think it'll be in competition with your.
But
it is the same time.
Doubtful. Well, you figure, I can tell you just, if there's 220 kids in the gymnastics program and just doing the math, if both, just 2 family members come, that already, puts us close to 500 people. So we're not too worried about attendance and it conflicting with the Stan Smith.
Last year you guys
I'm not a tennis guy. I'm more of a basketball guy. But
last year you guys were looking for housing. Are you still doing that?
There is a lady, Nancy Pearson, that coordinates that. I think she's got the feelers out. So I think she's got it covered. I don't know. I don't really track that side of it. I do ticket takers. So if anybody wants to volunteer to take tickets and stamp hands, I've still got a few more shifts, or 60 shifts.
I'll serve cookies in the tea tent like I did with Wendy
for
that
half
year.
an hour. Ours are
That
a
was
little bit
fun.
longer.
A little longer than half an hour.
On the silver tray with cookies. I had fun. It was
The
really
three-
interesting meeting so many people from all over the country.
That come.
Just
Yeah.
come.
We use pretty much every court in the valley that we can get our hands on, plus in Ventura. Junior college, Division III, play in Ventura. Over 1,500 entrants.
Amazing.
So you can imagine the first day, Thursday, of course it drops from 1,500 to 750 overnight because it's single elimination. But the paying venues are Libby, Ojai Valley Athletic Club, and the Ojai Valley Inn. All the rest of them you can go watch good tennis for free.
they'll be at probably Ojai Valley School a decent amount, maybe.
They'll be at every court
Nordoff,
that we could possibly get. We use.
Well, thank you.
Great.
And then I guess we'll have Councilman Wyrick come up for our City Council liaison report.
Yeah, a couple things. One, I'm your quarterly. We rotate, so it's
Yeah.
my quarter, and I'm looking forward to learning more. I was fortunate to be with Councilman Haney. We drove to Santa Maria and back one night for a Channel Cities dinner or something like that. So we talked all the way up and all the way back. Plus, they had a big traffic jam, so we even talked longer. But we talked a lot about Parks and Recreation, obviously, and I know Mr. McClary talked about the 30,000-foot view, and so I asked him this question. I said, well, it seems like all the success that the department's having and the whole operation is having is bumping up into a resource constraint. You could do a lot more if you had more space. So, I just said, well, what's going on with that, in terms of, is that a true perception? And so we started speculating, and I started speculating about the whole issue of what's going on with the school system, with all the excess capacity, and the fact that the new school board seems much more prone to joint ventures and leasing operations rather than disposal of property than the previous school board was, and that there is permissive language in Measure J, which makes joint ventures eligible for the Measure J funding. And so we were just speculating, and I am also the liaison for the school district, which is a new position for council. And I just wanted to say that myself and I think other people on the council, I think people on the school board, are really open to ideas you might have of what could be done in terms of looking at the school district resources as extensions and augmentations of what is going on with the city's Parks and Recreation Department. And just please share those ideas you have and those brainstorms you have in the middle of the night. Please, okay? And myself and others on the council may be able to help facilitate developing those ideas. There's a new oversight committee for Measure J. I know some of those people, and some of them are really pretty, resourceful types. So you've got kind of a new day in terms of a different type of group of people running the school district now than used to be there. And I think they're less inward thinking and more outward thinking. And it's just a real opportunity. Just wanted to mention that. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Also, several of us on the council are taking a really hard look, as the deputy city manager alluded to. He was saying, well, we're going to be looking at a presentation of the Libby Bull Foundation. Well, some of us are very interested on the council at really taking a hard look at what's been going on with the Libby Bull Foundation. I, for one, which is another thing that Councilman Haney and I talked about, all the way up to Santa Maria back. And that prompted me to ask for the contract that the city had with the Libby Bull Foundation. And to my surprise, among the provisions in that contract is that they're supposed to appear before 3 groups at the city quarterly for receiving public input and doing reports. Those 3 groups are the council, the Arts Commission, and the Parks and Recreation Commission. And in other words, you're supposed to be having, or if you wish, they are obligated to have interaction with you formally here at the meeting. And
For a long time.
We haven't seen them for a long time.
I think that's something that the fact that hasn't been happening is we've on the council have taken notice of that. And I would urge you, if you have things that you wish to bring up in some sort of formal way regarding the operations, to please take advantage of that provision in the contract. And request that formal interaction. I think many of us on the council feel that there really needs to be a look at what is the issue for the lack of activity in terms of Libby Bowl, and what can we do? What are the constraints? What are the issues? So, I just wanted to mention that. Mr. McClary, did you have a?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, the chair and I were just exchanging a quick look to confirm via sign language. We had talked a couple of weeks ago, and I'm happy to report we did reach out to the foundation and ask them to make a presentation, and they are coming to
The Parks and Recreation Committee.
At the May
Mr.
meeting.
McClary knows that I've been
Yeah.
needling him a little on this, because I think it's important. It's an important community resource, and it needs to be looked at in terms of what, and you're part of the governance
Yeah,
of the situation.
When the contract came up and we were presented, we had a lot of questions at that
Yes.
time. But it's very interesting what, as a commission, what part we play in any of it. And
Well, I think
if not.
I think the contract provisions somewhat allow you to define the part that you want to play.
So we had
In
a lot
terms of what your
questions.
concerns are. I think that seems to be the intent of the contract, was that, your commission is to have input in terms of the input you think is relevant. I just think there's a number of places like this where some of us on the council, well, I think the whole entire council is being much more focused on all aspects of governing the city and kind of trying to move us towards hitting on all cylinders better than maybe we have, in the past. I wanted to, and then of course, I asked the other question, and and I'll wrap this up quickly. It's getting late. I'm a little new to this. Many of you have been through this many times before, but I ask questions, whether or not they have any validity or not. And so I said, well, I said, Randy, I'm looking at all these underutilized resources around here, and one of them being the Sewell Park. And I understand this has been studied, and I've asked for some research material to look at that. From Mr. McClary, I know he has a lot on his plate, but I'm not asking him as a high priority, but I am just saying that as a council person, I am trying to look at everything and all the possibilities. I understand more and more about some of the history about that, but at the same time, I'm looking at, well, where are our underutilized resources for the Parks and Recreation activity of the valley as a whole? So I just want to mention that I've been thinking about that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely.
And actually ran into Supervisor Bennett, which really got me going on this, and he, of course, was like, "You want it?"
That's always the answer. You can have it.
Yeah, exactly. So I figured, okay, there's a catch here, namely the cost. And of course, I was just, I just think in terms of I'm an economist by trade, and just think in terms of what can be done for programming versus cost, and just taking a whole look at this thing, not being rash, but thinking about it. Finally, I really appreciated all the discussion about, things like the solar and all this kind of thing, and I just think again that please don't be bashful about bringing speculative ideas to the attention of council. I think you've all of us are really open, for imaginative approaches to how we can make the community better. So anyway, with that, I'm going to be here learning. Thank you.
Thank you. We
Thanks for
appreciate
coming.
your time.
Yeah.
And we appreciate the openness to
Yeah.
communicate.
Okay.
So next we have future meeting dates and agenda items.
So as I stated, the one item that I wanted to note is that we do have the Libby Ball Foundation coming, scheduled
Yep.
to make a presentation at our May meeting.
Okay.
And then anything else? Otherwise, meeting's adjourned.
I don't have anything else, so remember, let me shut the sound off before we,
I gotta do the.
there you go.
Very lightly, it's late.
Yeah, I'll look for that piece of paper. I did nothing but.